the joyous news be spread, the wicked old witch at last is dead.
Psych!
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Sometimes, diarrhea can feel like a storm, raging in your body. When it takes over your life, you want relief, comfort.
There's a tempest in me!
Maximum Strength Pepto-Bismol. When diarrhea strikes, remember, it coats, it calms, it comforts.
Chester Cheetah here. My stomach's growling has got me prowling for Cheetos. Now what's Cindy Lou up to? Out of sight. It's not easy being cheesy.
Cheetos, the cheese that goes crunch.
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear that.
I care about one thing, and one thing only.
Only one person.
The rest of you gentlemen can bugger off!
Are you hurt? Stay with me.
Should we help him? No, this is his destiny.
Soldier! He's gone. He's gone.
Maybe better check.
Nope, he's dead.
It's right here in the script. My plan to beat up your dad. Let's have a laugh.
In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for keeps?
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Radical.
Gone are the days of Pons and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello and welcome to the show, everybody. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things, and we call it Best Gen because we're all roughly from the same gen, happen to think it's the best, not because we as people were better, but because our entertainment was. And we're still searching for that high again. of good movies and TV. We've got a lot to talk about this week. Thanks for everyone who's joining us. We got a pretty good crowd. And that was just a preview of tomorrow's video. It'll be longer, but I haven't finished it yet because I'm tired.
It looks good. It looks like it's gonna be a banger. Totally.
Yeah. We got some merch. You can ask me how I'm Mexican.
We got some merch too.
The answer is technically, yeah. Some of my guests are wearing some of my merch. Mark, you said you got your hoodie, and that's good. I got one too, but it's kind of hot to wear. But I love this design. That one's one of my favorites.
Looks cool.
So, oh boy, there's a lot to talk about this week. We got Rings of Power again, unfortunately. We've got we got my favorite character appearing on She-Hulk. We got some Andor and some Hot D. That's House of the Dragon. And first off, we're all gonna talk about Bros. You guys all saw it, right?
Not yet. Wasn't planning on it.
What? No one's seen it? I am sorry. I did not realize that my show was full of homophobes. I watched Bros 5 times in the theater by myself, just to prove that I'm not homophobic. No other ulterior reasons or motivations there.
My God, bro! I tried so hard to watch it, but it's literally nowhere in Mexico. Like you cannot find it. It's I think it's illegal to show it in Mexico somehow. Like not illegal, but against the rules of the cinema.
Yeah,
because they don't really show any, egregious imaginary or whatever.
Also,
but yeah, I couldn't
was
find
very
it.
Catholic.
Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere. And it's not like I wanted to see it. I just wanted to prove that no one's wanted to watch it. But yeah, it was not even available in Mexico. Probably in some obscure cinema in Mexico City or something like that.
Yeah,
but not in regular. Yeah, not in regular.
It didn't. I have a lot of gay friends who were not interested in watching it at all either.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say that perhaps it's because the guy is not that really good looking, so he doesn't have much to offer to
the other guy is attractive though, right? The other
I haven't even seen any of it. The only thing I saw, Billy Eichner complaining about no one wanting to watch his movie.
Well, for the last month on Twitter, he's been saying, "Don't go watch this if you're not a homophobe, and we don't want homophobes to watch our movie. And if you don't like it, don't watch." And then no one watched it, and he's surprised. So we already got a super chat again from Mark, just because, no other reason. You could have said something important there, but thanks.
Found,
I'm also trying to set up the whole membership thing, which I'm looking into, and I guess you can customize like emojis and stickers, which is cool. So if you guys have any ideas for what those emojis should be, I'm going to make the entry-level membership thing like $1 if I can, so everyone can get emojis, because I don't really. Memberships are kind of silly. We're already going to have a bag of rocks. If Jared ever has a stupid opinion, you guys can spam those in the chat. But if you have any other ideas, stick them in here, and I'll watch the replay. Yeah. Sorry, I just totally lost my place.
So you absolutely love Bros, huh?
I love it. Oh, it's the best there's I don't remember anything about the plot, but
there was a plot.
It was so good, so good.
I actually have one of those Regal memberships, so I'm planning on going and seeing just because it's like, hey, I can see anything I want, and it actually ends up costing the theater some money, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do it for free, I was
$20 a month, and I can go see whatever movie I want.
So, Rings of Power, guys. Oh, we're eventually going to talk about. And I'm upset about this. David made me watch Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh no!
And you said that it got good in the middle, and I kept waiting for it to get good, and it never happened. And I'm very upset that you made me watch that.
So
movie.
here's a quick question, though: Did you like the original?
Yes, I love the original.
Okay, all right, I'm just checking.
It's one of my favorite movies as a kid. It's ingrained in my memory. It's so good.
Yeah. Halloween classic.
But I hated the new one a whole lot. It was not good.
It was ultimately very disappointing, especially the ending and the unneeded prologue. But I legitimately think that there's a couple parts in the middle that are genuinely brilliant, and we can talk about it later. But
it's not the wording I would choose. But we can't talk about that until your wife gets on, right?
Yes,
because that Martina girl wants to discuss.
She's putting the kids to bed, and she has some words to say.
Which Martina girl?
That one. So yeah, let's talk about Rings of Power, guys. Let's get this over with because I fell asleep. So what I normally do is I pull it up on my computer on Firefox so that I can screen grab it so I can make my edits, and then I go watch it on my TV. And I fell asleep watching it, and so the recording ended up being like 8 hours long. And so I had to delete it and re-record it because I don't have that kind of space on my jam. It was so boring and so pointless, and nothing changed. The status quo is completely the same with the dwarves and the elves. They're still there for some reason. They're still dealing with the same conflict that was introduced in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing has happened, nothing has developed, and none of it makes sense.
Well, I mean, you could still have the same conflict going on if you have, like, I don't know, if there's just nothing that happens with it. Yeah. Because, like, you can have not made any, like, changes to, hey, we still disagree about this, but, like, you got to show something more interesting than, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems too that this whole episode was just a setup, recovering from the last episode and setting up for the final finale.
But I don't even know what they're setting up. What are they setting up for the finale?
Yeah, we don't.
They're all going. They're going their separate ways. Didn't you know?
Yeah, because you got Numenor.
I can't put that song on for copyright reasons, obviously, but
obviously
the example that I want to use, and we can get into a lot more of the specifics, but there's the one scene where Nori is handing the stranger the apple, and again we can get into all that's involved with that, but it was just so like it was another one like the riding the horses,
so needlessly dramatic and
long and drawn out and dramatic, and like I want to complain about that, and then my first thought is, well, yeah, Lord of the Rings is a very slow and methodical story in the books. And the movies do have, these wide sweeping shots and everything, but those actually work for some reason. And this one, it's trying too hard. Like it's saying like,
well, because Lord of the Rings is building to something.
And it's so pointless and unnecessary. The rest of you can have a slow burn like Andor, or you can have a slow show that just does other things to make itself seem more slow.
Yeah,
this is moments in a show that has other progress happening.
This is the perfect comparison. Rings of Power and Andor. They are both slow shows. The difference is Andor is slowly building to something.
Yes.
And you know what it is. And every time they have these tense scenes, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm legitimately excited for the next episode of Andor because they have set it up so well. They keep adding little things on it. Oh, here's another complication. Here's another thing that can go wrong. Here's another thing that can go wrong. And we don't even know if we trust each other, right? Is someone going to betray us? And so tomorrow's episode, I'm so excited, or not tomorrow, next week's episode, I'm super excited for.
Yeah,
because
So
it is slowly built more and more tension. Rings of Power is slowly doing nothing.
Yep.
And it feels like it's trying to build something. Like it thinks that it's building something, but it's not. It's confusing. It's just confusing.
Yeah.
What's the next episode of Andor about?
They're gonna do the heist.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what's coming. You don't know what wrenches they're going to throw at you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next episode of Rings of Power?
The finale.
What is it? What is it?
Nothing.
I know it's the finale, but what is it?
They fight a Balrog. Maybe Sauron is revealed. I don't know.
I don't know.
Where?
It looks like they're gonna get to Linden and talk to the Elf King.
But where are they going to fight the orcs? Are they going to go
They are
back to
going
Mount
home.
Doom to fight? Or
No, the orcs are done. The whole storyline with the orcs is done. Probably the only thing left is Sauron and going back home. Everyone's going back home, and the whole entire next episode.
The title
going
change.
Southland.
Oh, yeah.
Mordor.
At least we didn't have what's his name?
Adar.
Adar say,
Adar, yeah.
"Oh, we should call it Mordor."
I was waiting for that.
I was waiting for the solo moment.
I
Like,
agree that
what's your
yeah.
name? Han what? Han
Yeah.
Mordor.
Han
I'm probably putting that in my head.
I was gonna say you totally should have like if they had done that, you should have put that into your devoid of logic.
I was literally hitting my head with a fucking stick, waiting for the reveal of saying, you know.
Well, and it's like it would have been cheesy, like cheesier if he had been like Mordor, to just be like that's what we're gonna call it. But that would have at least been like, hey, they're just showing stuff. They're telling us stuff. It's in the story. It's all within the story. Whereas this is the first time that we have had a label pop up in regular camera. Like you have it on the map.
Yeah, if they'd been doing something like that previously, it would have made sense.
So it was so bizarre, and like, of course, it was your obvious. We're going from Southlands to Mordor.
Yeah,
but also
here's a similar gag
this way, and why is it? It just felt so weird.
Here's a similar gag. It's the same effect, but it was actually done well. Think back to Avengers: Infinity War. They keep showing you the locations, and then they go to the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the title is Space.
Right.
This was for comedic effect, but it's essentially like the same thing. But it makes sense there.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's consistent because they've been doing stuff like that throughout it. If they wanted to in something like this, they could have zoomed out. Again, they stopped using the maps, but they could have zoomed out to the map and then had it burn off the map into Mordor. That would have been this.
That might have been cool.
That was a good idea.
There's so many things where it's like
I like
them getting so close, right? That you can see them getting so close to things that could be good and could be cool, and then just not getting it, not doing it. It's frustrating because they put so much freaking money into this show, and they had to spend some time on this. How did they say
18 months?
We got to do some sort of a like reveal thing, the change up.
I think production was 18 months.
Was that
something like that?
No,
yeah,
that's
because of COVID.
For a second there, I was like, was that it? No, that is a ton of freaking time.
Because of COVID, obviously, derailed a little bit, but they had, a year, at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's way more than many movies have.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, way more. Shoot, photography goes for like a couple months.
Yeah, that's the longest.
On a TV show, it's a little bit longer, but
depending
on the TV show.
It depends on the TV show because a lot of times with the TV show, they're shooting week to week. Well, they're not shooting the episode that's about to come out. They're shooting an episode a week usually.
Yeah.
This is a streaming show. None of the other streaming shows do it like that. The other streaming shows shoot it more like a movie where you get on set, you film most, if not the entire thing, you put it all together, and you send it out. No.
Yeah.
Well, the age-old saying is money can't buy crappiness.
But where's the money going? Like, there's nowhere. Like, you see everywhere, and there's nothing.
Like, there's a handful that look really good, right? Like, Mount Doom exploding looked really cool. It's just the context was.
I'd even argue most of them look really
good.
good.
Pompeii also, the movie Pompeii that was really bad, also looked kind of good. The
Yeah.
explosion, at least the pyroclastic flow look pretty well, not similar because this obviously looks way more expensive and way bigger. But for the budget, like where's the money going? In the drones, the horses, the printed armor, the cool shots, I guess. But most of them are drones, so
But the
not even a
costumes are
human
so
behind them.
Costumes are so cheap. They're not even showcasing the landscape of New Zealand well.
Probably the lens. The lens
like
are
the only shots you get are with the Harfoots, and they're very brief. And
or with
the rest is all CGI
boring
replacement stuff.
The ones with the encampment at the very end are, you get some vista.
Okay, that encampment. So the whole plan of the bad guy, right, was to blot out the sun, right? And then the good guys ride for like an hour, and they're back in the sunlight.
Yeah,
I think when they rode further to get to their actual encampment, they got outside of the smoke.
They also,
an hour, but it was still
they also completely forget that there's a mountain range in between that encampment and Mordor.
Well, I think it's implied that their encampment is in the mountains, but it doesn't make sense because
they said it was right next to the ships. They said they sailed the ships right up next to the mountain range and then teleported through the mountains back and forth.
Yeah. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it never showed them set up camp either. It made it seem like they just got off their boats, rode their horses straight to the thing. Because it feels like they're missing a scene where they set up the camp in the mountains as they're traveling through.
Well,
and
the people they left behind with the boats could have done that, but it's still silly.
Yeah, because you have Galadriel say, "Oh, they set up camp up here," which means that they had to have, but they cut it so that it was so like, "Oh, it feels like they got right off they got on the boats." An hour later, they landed the boats, and then they rode straight over to the one village, fought at that one village, and then.
But I agree. It feels like there was missing a scene. I totally agree with that.
Oh, there felt like there were like a dozen.
A lot of
everything in a way that actually fits.
The biggest problem with this stupid episode is they all start off in the same place. It is a village with 2 houses. And everyone is there. And then the volcano goes off. And for some reason, everyone just splits up. Rather than regrouping and searching for survivors, Galadriel just steals a kid. And just
so
takes
weird.
him into the woods.
Yeah.
When
and
there's
she leaves
people
before
calling
them,
for her help.
Yeah.
There's a guy on fire that she just walks away from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're all there, and then
so
you
weird.
you meet up with not Celeborn. He doesn't exist in the show. He's dead.
No, he's dead.
You meet up with
Elendil.
You meet up with
Let's
Elendil
not get
like
into that yet.
40 minutes into the episode, and he's just in the woods, like queuing people for. But why wasn't he present at? He wasn't there because they needed to have a dramatic scene where his son dies, and they have to tell him your son's dead. But it doesn't make sense why he wasn't like the only reason he was not present for that scene is because it's not in the script. It doesn't make sense. Nothing in the show makes
a different reveal, and so they don't do anything.
And the reason why they separated Galadriel and Boy, what's his name?
Oh shoot, it was
Theo.
Emo kid. The reason why they separate him is because they wanted to do an homage to the Fellowship of the Ring with the ring wraith staring over the big tree thing, but they did it with the orcs. And
also the looking through the aftermath of the battle to eventually find the one person.
It's just another example of how you can. It's proof that they are writing the show backwards. They say, "Oh, we want to have a moment where someone has to tell the dad that his kid's dead. We want to have a moment where we can do the whole tree thing. So, how do we get the pieces to those parts?"
Yeah.
It makes. There's no reason why they didn't just stay in this town, help everyone get up, search the. After the building has already fallen on Elendil or Isildur, there's no danger anymore. You can go check to see if he's dead.
Yeah.
And they just leave him. There's no reason why they needed to leave immediately. The threat was gone. There was like a handful of orcs that they were holding hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And
like the Harfoots, they leave people behind. They just say,
they just
fell off
left.
the trail, we leave
Although
people
they did a lot of doubling back on that one. They really flip-flopped on that.
They didn't explain. They didn't give you a reason why they needed to leave the vicinity right away. They could have had a line in if they wanted to. They could have. They could have said, "It's getting hotter and hotter by the minute. We have to get out as soon as we can."
Easy fix.
And that would explain everything.
Or there's more orcs coming, or something.
Something, yeah.
But they just leave. There's no reason.
Here's where the editing also doesn't make sense, because not only did they not have that, they have the building collapses, and then we cut to something else. And then we cut back to them meeting up with Elendil. So we don't even see them decide, oh, we've got to go or leave. Or so.
And how would they know that everyone else is heading towards us? I guess they're heading back to their camp, right? But like,
yeah. But
did you notice that the first scene with Galadriel and emo kid, whose name I already forgot again, because no one cares.
I'm actually thinking
they split off. They split off. And then she goes, quiet, quiet. There's a bunch of elves. And they never cut to the shot. Or sorry, she says, quiet, quiet down. There's a bunch of orcs. And they never cut to show you that there's a bunch of orcs because they couldn't afford them. You only get 2 of them late, like 10 minutes later when they're searching through the trees. But like, she's like, get down. Look, wouldn't you want to like, cut to the shot of like an army of orcs, Like,
along those same lines too, when they're they've got the little they're walking across, and they Theo and Galadriel hear him. Theo starts trying to pull the sword, and Galadriel stops him, but they hear that little shink, and they start coming to look a little bit closer or whatever, and then when they decide to walk away because they can't smell anything but ash, whatever, she's like, okay, get some sleep, and he goes shink, like 2 seconds after they walk away.
They're the same distance away.
It's even closer. The distance is even closer. They're even closer. But
same thing with him leaving the well.
It's not the same thing. They are like, no, they are not there. He's not there. No.
The scene, the danger has passed, so we can move on. Like we can say, oh, they have decided to turn around, so therefore we no longer have to worry about them. And the writers decide to do that as well. It's one thing if a character decides to do that, make a mistake, and the writers go, oh, wait, that was a dumb thing that the character decided to do. No, the writers are saying that's no longer important because that moment has passed, because that's all we cared about was that moment. And now we need the next moment of them having their, like, let's go to sleep and be worried. I don't remember what it was.
It's just sheer arrogance. They never play tested their game. They never sat the script or the dailies in front of a regular dude and said, hey, does this make sense? Because if they did, they'd be like, what's this? What's that? And then they could have fixed all their problems.
And you should have had even like storyboarding too. Like there's so many other steps that again, I'm not a big, like I have not been to film school or anything like that, but like there's so many other steps in here that should have happened that could have fixed so many of these problems.
Right.
We just offhand improvising. We've given solutions that wouldn't have taken any extra money or time, and it would have made the show make more sense.
Yeah.
My solution is literally 1 line of dialogue to solve the biggest problem with this episode.
But they are lacking common sense, and they probably live in an echo chamber. Probably all their stuff.
Oh, it's so great. Look at the thing I wrote. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Pass it around.
So great.
It's all smoking.
Make more. Yeah. Don't
exactly.
ever stop writing.
Another scene that's pretty ridiculous.
Never stop writing.
Yeah.
Don't you stop.
Don't you dare.
Stop, Jack.
Don't you dare. Make the word a favor and keep writing that.
Yeah. Another part I thought was pretty ridiculous in the rescuing from the fire scene is so Elendor's buddies are in the flaming building, right? And he's trying to push open this big beam, this burning beam of the house, and he can't do it. And then the Queen Regent just comes over and they just like lift it up, no problem, just with her help. It's like they don't get any other guards. It's just the 2 of them, and suddenly they can.
But that one didn't bother me as much because it didn't seem as extreme of the suddenly it's easy, and it was both of them at least lifting. But
yeah,
sorry, continue.
But then after that happens, some guards show up and they go into another burning building, And the queen herself goes in, and that's when the ashes fall on her eyes.
And no one else is helping
But
Isildur.
Nobody else is helping. It's just him, the queen. It's like, this is your queen. And the other guard is there. They should be like, no, my queen, you stay here. And they go in. But they just like, my
because
queen,
they needed her to go blind.
Why are they
needed a reason?
in,
they needed a reason for her to go blind, and so she had to go in. That's why the guards didn't stop her, because the script said so. And they needed Isildur to get to die.
And nobody needs to know that the queen is blind.
Why are they doing this with a character that everyone knows is alive?
Exactly. There's no stakes. We know Isildur's not dead.
It's Isildur. He dies at the beginning of the other movie.
Exactly. It's the same thing with the reveal of Mordor. Like, we always knew it was Mordor. It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
I never could have guessed.
It still circles back to so then are you making it for the big fans because you're not doing a very good job for us, or are you making it for people who don't care about all those other things and haven't seen them, in which case you're putting too many hints at bigger things and
yeah,
it's still too boring to carry all the weight of the people that are newbies, for to use the term. Because Tolkien fans hated. They're probably the ones that hated the most. In Lord of the Rings fans, are pretty a second close, and newbies, they really think it's dumb, and they are not enjoying it because it's just a bunch of useless dialogue that sometimes even makes no sense, and the plot moving nowhere. So everyone's just either falls asleep. This show is great as if you're having trouble sleeping. Just watch a few episodes. You're not gonna make it past the second.
I've struggled with insomnia my whole
life.
life.
It's hard.
The show
it's hard.
has cured me. So
yeah.
Let's finish up all of the Galadriel plot, and then we can get into the rest. So let's talk about Celeborn, guys.
Oh no. No.
So I
genuinely think that was a reshoot. That they heard fans complaining, "Where's Celeborn?" And so they decided to address.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead. Also, I insulted him before he left because I'm a horrible person, and I called him a silver clam.
A soy boy. He called me a soy boy.
Yeah, but it's so ridiculous that he's presumed dead in this fight against Sauron, and he hasn't shown up for however many years he's been searching.
A lot of people are saying that he's going to end up being Adar.
Oh my god!
So that doesn't fix anything, though. Because
no, it doesn't.
You see him in the movies. He is in the movies.
Yeah.
So you're either saying that he's actually dead, which doesn't make any sense. He's going to be presumed dead and turn out to be Adar.
He's going to show up later.
Right. Or he's just going to show up later, but you decided to just... I don't know.
But if you ignore the movies, the Adar theory would make sense because that would explain why he hasn't come back. It's stupid, but it would make sense within the show. It would explain why he's been gone. It wouldn't explain the other problems that you mentioned.
That is what you need to... That is the most important thing, is that you at least make sense within your own show. But guess what? They don't even do that most of the time.
I know. They're not consistent.
As frustrating as it would be if you don't match up with the other movies or with the Tolkien lore or whatever, at least make sense within your own show. And they don't do that either, so...
Yeah. At least we know that they react to fan backlash in some way. But it's the weirdest thing because...
He's dead. Stop complaining. He's dead. Okay.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
Yeah.
They didn't come out with a better way.
But he's been changed. Okay, because he's got scars all over his face, and so he's been morphed. He's an orc now, so she wouldn't recognize him.
And he's got evil.
I don't know why I'm defending the show.
They prefer Uruk.
He's whiter now. Yeah. He looks paler now.
Yeah.
But then again, he's still gonna have to something.
I think he's dead. I think they're going to stick with it and think they are arrogant.
Or at least he might show up later after she has her fling with Halbrand. I've been alive this whole time. I was just in a bush or something.
At the end of season 2 or 3 or something. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I would not be surprised. You're right. I think if that was a reshoot, it's the same thing with the dwarven women having beards. You know, they make their thing. They come out with their promotional images, and they're like, "Oh crap, they're supposed to have facial hair. Let's CGI some little mutton chop peach fuzz." It's so silly and pathetic.
Yeah,
they even made a joke about Duran's mother's beard, like this time, or was it her mother's beard? One of those two. It's like, so why do you not have more beard? Like,
yeah. This beard looks ridiculous. Just a patch
beard?
of.
I maintain
she has like a patch here, right here, like something.
I maintain I haven't seen any of it. There is literally nothing.
The only reason
there was literally only one shot that there was a close up where the light glimmered through her peach fuzz that I've seen.
Yeah. And I will maintain that doesn't count, and that's garbage. And I didn't even see that. The fact that if I do believe you guys, I didn't even see that. But if I
have been doing a video about about the acting of Disa and all the characters that act better than Galadriel, and I've seen so much of her face that trust me, she has a beard and it looks ridiculous and it's horrible, and I don't know why they didn't put it there. It just looks like a patch of hair. They stick it with something weird.
That's what Pompeii does to you.
And
she's manspreading even in death.
That's the perfect image to choose. But if you ignore the fact that this is how everyone in that town should have ended up, what's more insulting is that they still have their hair.
Yeah.
Hey, if you were going to survive that,
never mind.
Sure.
Never mind her hair.
Freaking volcano exploding.
Never mind her hair. Her eyelashes.
Her
eyelashes are covered with literal ashes.
That's what it is. Somehow there's a total time weird thing going on, and Galadriel turns into Feminem.
Yeah,
that's why there's no hair. Why Feminem doesn't have?
Joe, Feminem is packing like no.
I mean, she's in a dress.
Okay, we're not talking about that part yet, guys. Celeborn's dead. He looks like a silver clam because his armor didn't fit. Like they thought that would be an endearing moment, right? They're like, oh, we're finally going to have her show some emotion, and in that moment, she just exposes what a horrible wife she is.
I didn't necessarily take it that way. I was willing to roll with it as a relatively endearing moment because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you tease each other, you make a joke, and then it's like you feel awful because even though it was a joke, that was the last thing you said.
Yeah,
I was okay with that as a concept.
Well, she sent him to war with that. I mean, she sent him to war.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and we don't even know if that's the same war. I mean, if the death of her brother happened at the same time or before that. So she's sending him to the same war.
Wouldn't her motivation be for her husband?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like her brother would hurt too, but you're more attached to your spouse. Just a little bit, right? I would be very sad if David died. Okay, there are a couple of video games I've been looking. There are a couple of board games he has. I've been looking forward to inherit that might soften the blow. But I would be a lot more upset if my wife died.
Yeah, that's hard to deal with.
There's no way that this was not a reshoot.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
That's a good point.
That doesn't track at all. Unless the only reason why they would keep it is for the shock factor, like, oh, your husband too, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense because we didn't up until this point, and no one knew that she had a husband if you weren't already a Tolkien fan.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it seemed like they were trying to say that. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting the kid's name. What's his name?
No one cares.
Yeah. They're trying to make it sound like Theo knows her, like on some level, like he didn't just meet her. And David was bringing this up to me. It's like, you have a husband?
This is the first time they've met. That's a really good point, Martina. This is the first time they've met, and she's talking to him, like this. That's fine. She's going to take him under his wing and make sure that he's okay. But his response to her is, I can't imagine you ever dancing.
Yeah. And she's like, you had a husband?
Which only makes sense to the audience because we've seen how horrible she is.
Yeah.
Theo has just met her. Why would that be something that he says?
Because she's a warrior and he doesn't believe a warrior. I don't know.
But the only thing he saw of her warrioring was when she
was
did
ignoring everyone that was dying.
Yeah, was doing the horse
more dancing than fighting. With the way that she was fighting, she was like, "Oh, let me climb up the horse."
I guess he probably saw her do some of the stupid tricks.
She only did one trick in front of him, and it's the scene when he and his father or whatever Aaron did. It's like, who is him, father? And he's she's Galadriel, Trinidad.
But all the stuff that she was doing in that fight scene looked like a dance, which is why it was so silly. So I don't know why he says, "I can't imagine you dancing."
Yeah. It's the same thing too when she says, "Oh, I lost my husband," and she's like, "Husband? You had a husband?
You didn't tell me that before." Yeah,
exactly.
You don't like women?
The dialogue is written for the audience, not for these characters.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that doesn't make sense with that conversation, and then I think it's continued on later, or maybe a bit before, is he's talking about how much he hates the orcs and he wants to get revenge on them. And her thing is like, "Oh, don't follow that path because that path."
I'm already on it.
Oh yeah, every single character's motivation just did a 180.
Exactly.
Every single character
genocide,
and with the Harfoots multiple times went back and forth in the same episode.
Yes, in this episode.
Yeah, so Galadriel, they're trying to show that she's finally had her change of heart and that she's learned her lesson, but they haven't given her a single reason to have done that. Like, if anything, this is the first time I would be on her side after she finally gets there and she thinks she's won, and then the volcano goes off.
Yeah, I have the reason why.
This is the first time I would be okay with her being in a frenzy.
Yeah. I know why, because they changed directors, and this time is directing Charlotte Henderson or something like that.
Really?
She is the director, and it's funny because she made probably the best episodes in some way. The writers are not helping because these are the episodes that had more writers that said, "Oh, we're gonna bring the big guns, we're gonna bring everyone, and we're gonna have 4 writers in these final episodes." But the director changed. That's why you kind of see.
But their foundation is built on sand. It doesn't matter if it gets a little bit better.
The
pieces are still going to fall apart.
Yeah, but that's the reason. I mean, you maybe you feel those scenes feel a little bit different.
Yeah,
like
they do.
That's why she feel a complete 180, and maybe that's the reason, because they changed like the whole writing team. They put everyone together, so everyone's conflicted ideas they appear in the show, and then the director changed. So
there's so many places that this should have that shouldn't be allowed to be the case that happens, because most shows have different directors for each episode. Most shows have a writer's room,
but you have a showrunner making sure it's all continuity.
Exactly, and it's like, where's the showrunner? What are they doing?
Yeah, I will actually make some examples later when we talk about Andor and because they also changed director and they also changed writer, Andor specifically, and they feel better.
It feels like the same show.
I mean, Andor feels better. Like the show is getting places. Yeah.
I'm saying throughout the show, it still feels like you're watching the same thing.
Right.
I think a good analogy. This show feels like a kindergartner's macaroni art, where you just have a bunch of different pieces. Oh, this is cool, and it's just slapped, glued together on a piece of paper. But and when you look at the whole, it's like this is a mess.
Well, and when you take a really big zoom
if
down,
you look at an individual piece, it might look cool. If you see one shot of CGI, hey, this is really cool. Hey, Elendil, his acting is fantastic, and I really like the actor. And so there's little pieces of like, there's a truffle that's been glued on to the it's a waste, right?
And I'd even argue, at least for me, I can see the zoomed out picture and be like, I see what you're going for. Obviously, it is still.
I mean, it doesn't look like your mom, but it's a good attempt, I guess.
You can see that there's a face there, and there's a horse body because it's a centaur. I don't know, whatever. It's like you can see what they're going for. At least I feel like I can, and I want to appreciate what they're going for. And I try really hard to see like the pieces that do sometimes work together. But you're right. The whole thing it's a mess. Nothing fits together. And I will harp on, to me, so much of it is that editing. And to your guys' point, the writing, I think the writing makes it even worse. But you could even edit things better so it flows, so you understand the way things fit together rather than feeling like suddenly these all just happen at the same time when they can't.
And then on top of all of that, you add on the fact that they're throwing Tolkien's lore out. Like we haven't even mentioned how it desecrates the story.
Like
these are
Celeborn
all
is something.
Structural problems.
But when we get to Balrog, my God, my God. Even I don't know many things about Tolkien, but a single Google search because Balrog is like the coolest character in the, he's like such badass. When I saw him for the first time when I was a kid, I was like, Jesus, I need to know about this guy at least about this guy.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about?
Okay. But shouldn't
I think we're almost done with Galadriel's arc.
Okay.
All of the sudden there are more orcs.
Yeah.
I don't know where they came from. So everyone eventually finds there was one scene when the Muriel was writing and she said, "I don't want anyone to know that I'm blind." So keep writing. I thought her acting in that scene was pretty good, and it makes sense. You're like, okay, you want to remain a beacon of hope for these people who just went through something horrible, and you don't want them to realize that you've been wounded too. And I was like, that's not a bad scene. And
Elendil immediately put
I'm getting there. I'm getting there, Martina. Okay, stop spoiling the punchline.
I'm sorry. I should have let you go. This is why I'm not invited to smoke.
In that scene was also good. He's like, just go, and he's like, but can I help you? No, just go. Like I was like, this is a good scene. And then cut to, I'm gonna wrap a thing around my face so everyone knows I'm blind.
So no one can see my eyes.
What purpose would that serve? She wasn't like physically damaged. Why would she need to cover up her eyes? Other than to remind the audience that she's blind because we are so stupid. We don't have object permanence. We probably would have forgot.
Yeah,
I know.
But the thing is,
crap.
Yeah, I just hate how writers and filmmakers and TV show writers just think that the audience is so stupid. They just don't give us any credit for like what we can pick up on. It's like you don't have to beat us over the head with stuff. Like
their core audience is that stupid.
Yeah,
like that's the problem.
They're not writing for smart people.
They have the attention span of.
It's probably the one thing that they've done right because they know that we're going to hate it. So they're writing for the stupid people who are going to stick around.
But they dumb it down to the max level. Like, it's insane.
And it wasn't, so the first scene, she wasn't like near the people, but then they have her sailing off on her boat in front of all of her men.
Yep.
With her Daredevil blindfold. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just resting my eyes, guys.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm just resting my eyes.
I'm stressed.
Nothing's wrong. Trust me. That's why I've covered up my face with this cloth.
And the funniest part is that she was the best actress of the show. She did the whole Galadriel stoic thing. She doesn't move her forehead at all. She's like stoic, but the thing she does with gesticulations and the way she moves her mouth and her her neck so expressive, and her eyes are so insane. Like her eyes are like she really opened those eyes. They took her eyes, her expressive eyes, which was the best part of her and probably the only redeemable part of the show, her acting and her expressive eyes. They took that from her, and they're probably gonna maintain her on that, which makes no sense. Like,
guys, we're all wrong.
Can't see them, then they can't see her.
Oh,
she's the one that
you can't see me. You can't see me. No, guys, we're all wrong. We are all wrong. We are so stupid. This is the perfect explanation. The pyroclastic flow gives off no heat because it's so evil. That's why everyone's still alive.
Oh. It's a cold volcano.
Except that they didn't. They didn't. They had the answer right there if they wanted it. This would have been the perfect.
The fire, the evil fire, doesn't give off. Oh no, it does because the one I was thinking of the stranger.
This
being
would have
like,
been
well, his fire isn't, but we don't know if he's evil yet.
Yeah,
this would have been the perfect time to introduce Galadriel's magic. She could have saved everyone with the city if she was booked Galadriel. She could have done a magic thing, done a little shield, and kept everyone alive.
Shield, yeah.
And then it would have made sense where they had to leave the city so quickly because it was going to quickly get hot after like.
Yeah,
I was really waiting for that, but it never came. I was like, oh, maybe they are going to explain why she survived. Maybe with a, it never came. It never came up.
Yeah.
They didn't even think about it. Probably they're that dumb.
The only bit of magic that she did was whisper to her horse to make it go faster, as a callback to when Eowyn did it.
Oh yeah,
in the Fellowship of the Rings, which didn't. It wasn't as impactful. It was ridiculous.
No, it was
going back to,
and even you could say that as an elf, she can survive because elves are hardier or strong, whatever. They're more, but no, the humans survived too. And yeah, no, just people survived. Yeah, they were just blown back.
Like Theo breathing in that cloud of ash is just. He's immortal. He has some iron lungs. It's so weird.
He's Sauron. No.
So they could have killed everyone. They could have made like a Red Wedding, like Game of Thrones. That would have been even meta or something. That would have been interesting. At least you've been like, oh, they really
going for it.
Yeah, they're really going for it. They surpassed my expectations in a way, in a bad way, but it would have been really, really better, at least. That was
the problem was they wouldn't have been able to kill off Galadriel, and
no, I mean, yeah.
Well, so why not?
But I gotta say though, there was a line in this episode that I loved. I thought it was brilliant, and it was when Elendil said, "I should have." I should have left that horrible woman in the sea. I should have left her to die. And I was like, just preach, queen. Yes.
I don't get, because she tells Theo, no, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I'm like, how was this how? If this would have happened to that, they would have been murdered and killed. Again, this is still where it doesn't make sense that somehow she's having this crisis of confidence because
she shows up to the battle
mostly right.
Yeah.
And
she didn't know anything about the knife. She shows up to the battle and Arondir says, hey, go stop that or we're all doomed. So technically it's Arondir's fault for not noticing the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many things where it's like, and she's saying, oh, it's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. And she's come to a better position where she's fixing her head, kind of, sort of, but then she's also still like,
not earned at all.
It's my fault. But it's like, there's nothing about this that came because of you doing anything. She did nothing that started this happening. Like what she did is she helped kind of save a village. She meant that there are some soldiers there that maybe did die, but otherwise villagers would have died. Like, from her perspective, what she has done has been good because she's like, hey, I got Numenor here, got them involved to save some of this village, and this would have happened anyway, and now we at least know. I don't know.
And then Numenor just decides to leave and come back for some reason. I don't know why.
They have this whole...
Because they only brought the 3 ships.
They have this whole scene, like feminist scene, with 2 big queens, slaying, saying that we are gonna come back and take revenge on those pesky orcs, like we don't need no man, something like that. It tells so that what's the name of the test that you have supposed to, that's the feminist. It has something.
The Bechdel test.
The Bechdel test they completely aced it because they don't talk about no man. They're like, don't worry about you taking my eyes, you elf that I just met like 2 weeks ago and has been nothing but annoying this whole time. And literally, and break and enter into my father's place for no reason.
Nope.
And his sick father, the father wouldn't even be able to see anything.
No.
So and they make every man in this episode break down and cry in just the most humiliating way possible. They even ruined Elendil. He's like, and made him look stupid. None of the women were crying.
But at the wrong moment. The wrong moment. Like, why not cry whenever he can't find his son?
Exactly.
He's crying because they're going to go back and battle. Like,
yeah.
He's crying because he made the decision that they're not going to have war. He's like,
I don't care if men cry, sure, but like make sense.
And why does he have to ugly cry? Like
he looked so. That the director was like, no, you don't look stupid enough. That's do one of these. Can you do one of these?
Look at Tobey Maguire, and then
no, but Toby, put some heart into it. At least this guy is just closing his eyes.
I put heart into it. I just, it was a little.
So they're going to leave.
Don't diss my Toby.
They're going to leave and then come back, but I don't know what they're coming back to because there was only like 5 orcs left, but now there's more. I don't know. But then you get Halbrand, who I guess has been stabbed, and he's got sepsis. And it's so bad that he can't physically move. And the only way that he will survive the wound is human healers aren't even going to be able to save his life. He needs elven healers. And
I mean,
somehow he's well enough to stand up and ride horseback.
Walk out.
You got to find that image, bro, in Twitter. The image of the map.
It's not as if you use 0 muscles to ride a horse.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You need a lot of.
You have to use
guys,
your muscles.
They are riding to Linden. And they are right here. Okay?
Yeah.
This is like 10 to 15,000 miles.
Yeah, he's going to die.
But you forget that Galadriel can go through mountains. You forget she has the power of.
Well, and teleport in this constantly. They're going to show up in Linden next episode.
There is one other, so there is this. They could go that way, which is the easier path, but it's longer. But they could also go through the Gap of Rohan. But there's no other way through this mountain range. You have to go
maybe
all the way,
have a
all
boat,
the way
or,
here, or you have to go through the Gap of Rohan because you're not going to be able to make it through Moria because I don't even think that there was a path all the way through yet.
And, I would be down to have
and everyone knows that the dwarves, don't let you in. So he's dead.
Some human, maybe, probably not. But
he's so sick that he couldn't get out of bed, but somehow has the energy to ride horseback all the time.
Yeah, and not even like on the back of the horse, like
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't you take the opportunity?
No, he's upright.
Wouldn't you take the opportunity here to pay another homage to the movies that everyone loves so much, and have her do the little Frodo thing to him?
Yeah.
Stay strong.
Get some king's foil. I don't know, whatever. Just
pull it behind in a cart or something,
Yeah. The only thing she does was giving a weapon to a kid and then leaving.
Why did she? Oh, and it's emo kid too. For some
with
reason.
horrible hair. I hate his hair.
No. But he has his hair because
I think they're going to turn him into the Witch King.
They're
There's
hiding
lots
his
of ways to
ears.
have long hair, though. You don't.
They're
have to
hiding
have...
his ears because he's probably the son of Arondir and Bronwyn, and he has elvish ears, so that's why he has his emo hair. And that's the I believe, but because why other reason would you give him the worst hair? Like the guy, has a normal haircut. I've seen his photos in Instagram. He has a normal haircut, so he looks like a human. Now he doesn't. He looks like a cartoon.
Yeah, like maybe they're trying to make him look younger with that kind of bowl haircut, but I don't know. I hate it. But you're probably right. They're probably just hiding his ears.
It's so silly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's gonna be next episode. Big reveal. By the end, probably like one of the big reveals is gonna be he's gonna just randomly just
either that an orc is gonna like grab his hair or something to chop off his head, and it's gonna reveal his ear. It's gonna be this big thing like, oh, you're an orc, or you're an elf, you're part elf, or something.
But the thing is that I don't understand why. Okay, so they show Galadriel not helping anybody, right? Like she's just walking past everybody in need.
It's not just she's not helping. She's explicitly ignoring cries for help.
Yeah, like she just walks back. But then, like, I mean, I think it would make more sense if like he latched onto her and she was like, "Get away from me, kid!" Like that would at least be continuity with her character so far. But like she's like, "Oh, I'll take care of you," because there's nothing wrong.
Now
with
she's
you.
as a mother. Yeah, now she's a good mother. You know?
What should have happened is they should have seen like Adar book it like through the trees or something, and so she goes off to try and chase him, and she loses his track or something.
It just follows her.
Yeah, and he follows her. It just doesn't make sense why they leave. They just walk off casually before everyone else.
You already explained why they have to leave it so that they could do the scene with the tree.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why you can't pay attention. So they explained the reason.
I don't know why was your recording 8 hours long?
Because I fell asleep.
Why can't you pay attention, Alan?
It was so boring.
It was one of the most boring episodes. You know, like episode 1 at least had something moving. Episode 2 had more emotion or something like that. Episode 3 more action. Episode 7 way more action at least. But this episode, all it has is a bunch of nonsense dialogue, people walking, a bunch of scenes of people walking, and big reveals or something big reveals that we already know, that we already knew, like Mordor and what Celeborn probably being dead.
So I found a map that has a scale on it. You can see this little bar is. So I was overestimating with my estimate, but so from there to there is 300 miles. So so from here, so that's like 300, 600. If a straight shot, that's about 1,000 miles.
Yeah, that's 1K.
If you go,
it's gonna take them a day or two at most. Like literally, they're gonna show us 4 scenes of Halbrand in this Galadriel, bonding or building their relationship or something.
He'll be tending to him and be like, "Oh no, what's this?" Yeah.
And just one scene in the morning and one scene in the night, and that's all.
They're both gonna go to touch his septic wound at the same time, and
no,
a meat gross.
A meat gross.
Bro, you gotta click that because it's gonna come true. I bet. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
We want the truth and we want it raw.
No, he wants raw meat.
That'd be funny if she becomes a cannibal and just eats the guy when he dies of the septic wound. She goes along with the whole plot because that make more sense.
Oh, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And there's so okay. We finished up that plot though. So you want to talk elves and dwarves, or do you want to talk Harfoots?
Let's do elves.
Elves and dwarves, yeah.
Okay,
those are
so elves and dwarves. It's will they, won't they? No, yes, no. You hang up first. I'm gonna do it. No, you can't do it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And then they end up doing it, and then they get in trouble. That's the whole plot. So the Harfoots.
No. So one quick thing about the dwarves, I thought some of Durin's father, Durin the Third, right?
Yeah, Durin the Third was the father.
Yeah, Durin the Third's words to his son Durin the Fourth was okay, but his motivations for not wanting him to mine don't make any sense.
There's no reason for it.
So
they're really all over the place.
The only reason he gives is, we don't want to go too fast because there's these earthquakes whenever we go or whatever. But his main reason seems to be that, we don't want to help the elves out because their time has come and it would be interfering with the Valar. and their plans for Middle Earth or something like that. If that was the case, he would not stop the drilling, the mining. His thing would be, no, don't give it to the elves. It's ours. The mithril is ours. It's ours by right. The only reason he would seal off the cavern is if he knew that there was some danger down there. But that's not what he says. He only hints that, oh, you don't want to go too fast or whatever. But he could have said something like, our ancestors have legends of some dark evil in this mountain that's locked away.
And then he would have had a reason.
But he doesn't say any of that. He says, no, we don't want to help the elves. Oh, you've gone against me. Block it up. Like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
It's really all over the place. And then they make the hint at the idea that maybe it's because, oh, he's going senile. But you don't really actually see anything that makes it seem like he's going senile within the show, because he's not acting like they present it as him acting very methodical in whichever different version that he's doing it. Whether he's saying, we don't really want to help the elves because the Valar want it to be this way, and then he's very methodical in the like, yes, but we also should not drill too deep, and also let's make sure we seal this away. But those are like different things than if he was like, oh no, we can't help them. We're gonna get in trouble. Like, I don't know. He's not senile. They're not showing him being senile, but they're showing his motivations to be all over the place.
So they're gonna kill him, right? Disa and Durin, like that's what they're setting up. They're like, he's got to go.
I don't think so myself. I think if anything, they're gonna have him
die peacefully.
I think they're gonna find a way to overthrow him, or like to show the other lords, like, hey, you want to do this? He's stopping us. He's really old. We should make him step down. We should have him abdicate or whatever. So that the fourth can be king.
Hold on, I want to address this one. Have they announced when season 2 will go on? Because they announced they're filming season 2 already.
I haven't heard any official announcement on that. But
I thought they were just going to do one a year, but maybe they're not capable of that.
I don't know. Like, that's the thing, is a lot of these other bigger shows are taking longer than a year. Like, so they're not coming out yearly. Like even Andor, it sounds like they're shooting it now, but they're saying that it's not going to be ready for a couple of years. I thought so.
Interesting.
Are they shooting a second season of Andor?
Yeah. Well, they definitely have planned the second season. They talked about that, but we can get to that later.
Well, they just announced season 2 of The Wheel of Time, and I am not excited.
Right. Need a couple of screenshots that they released.
So during okay. Also, Disa's acting in this episode was horrible. It was so over the top.
And I've enjoyed her acting so far, I think.
In episode 1, it was fine. But
episode 2 was better, yeah. I mean 3.
Holy crap. She is such a stage actor, and it shines. I mean, it doesn't shine. It shows because it's bad. It was so painful to watch.
Yeah.
And the scene where she's hammering on an anvil and like yelling at him, it was so awkward and so just like she's like a villain now.
Yeah. It's so weird. They changed it so fast.
She's whispering in his ear like worm tongue, you know. It's
I genuinely think that she's trying to convince him to kill his father.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes, I got those vibes too.
I don't necessarily agree. I haven't minded her. The thing that bothered me with her hammering on the anvil was nothing was happening with that axe that she was hammering on at all when she was hammering it. And then
she randomly decides to just quench it.
And even before
that's not how it works, guys.
Yeah, because those things are hot. And so, she's there, not sweating, not whatever. Okay, I guess they're doing this sort of stuff all the time. So maybe it's not hard work for her. She's used to the heat or whatever. And then he walks up and puts his hands on the anvil, probably right next to that thing because there's nowhere else for him to go.
Exactly.
And he's not like, that's really hot, or like trying to stay away from her. Like, no. He's just, it's a prop, and they don't treat it like it's an actual hot brand, basically.
They had to talk over some sort of table.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. There was also a bit with Durin and his dad where you see Durin's dad like position himself on like right in front of the fire, and then Durin stands up and comes face to face with him when there's a fire in between them.
Yeah,
he was standing in a fire.
Notice that.
Oh man, it was.
Maybe that's how Daisy lost her beard. She was talking to.
So there was a bit because the reason that I clued in on it the first time was because the way that the during the third adjust, it makes me think like he had kind of paced and then he's like, oh, I need to adjust to my mark or whatever. And there was just a little bit of like, oh, he looked like he adjusted to his mark right in front of that fire. And then like it cuts to during the fourth and he stands up and it gets right in his face. And I'm like, but there was a fire in front of him. Yeah.
God bless you people for watching the show so I don't have to. Even Jared.
Well, thank you. Bless me so that I can down my bags of rocks.
Bless you, mate. Bless you
but the whole mithril with the leaf reveal was so silly.
Yeah.
Because all it did was prove that the mithril does the thing that they said it does,
Yeah.
which wasn't the point that they were arguing. They were arguing whether or not it was worth it.
Right.
They didn't disbelieve that it would help the elves, and all of a sudden they had a change of heart, but nothing changed.
That absolutely drove me crazy because it's like they look at it suddenly changing the leaf, and it's like.
And Dee saying that scene when she looks up at him, she's like,
his eyes.
I was like, oh, I can't even look at her.
That wasn't you weren't worried about is it true or is it not? You're seeing a dramatic effect of it, so you could be like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But we already believe that, so.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's funny because
you're suddenly being like, you know what, I am willing to go against what my father says because just then he was saying, no, maybe Dad's right. It is dangerous or whatever the heck else his problem was.
Yeah, and it's funny because Turin's face is so expressive, and he has these eyes. He's crying, but he's not crying. He's not blinking, so the tears remain in his eyes. So when he opens his eyes to show surprise, he's like crying with his eyes and. Is still surprised, so it feels, you really feel something behind that scene. You get the message just because of Turin, but this eye is up here.
He's a good actor.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
But this eye is in a complete opposite position. Opening her eyes like in her mouth, like oh.
And then the scene with Durin and Elrond. Was I the only one who thought they were coding both of those characters gay?
Yeah.
Like he's like we can only share between friends.
You gotta check my last review, bro. I make
husbands and lovers. No, don't say the.
Wish I could quit you.
Don't say
I didn't pick that up at all.
But they give each other like
so awkward.
Turin gives him the same look, like the same over the shoulder look, like
yeah.
I think it's trying to normalize the fact that non-gay men can love each other in a way.
I know. I feel like we're just like.
I didn't mind it. I didn't pick up on the actual.
It really, watch the scene again though. It really felt like they were trying to.
I just figured it out, bro. I just figured it out. They're gonna pitch the two of them together. Like this is gonna be mean. This is gonna be the enemy in one point. So they're gonna divorce, and everyone is going to be like the host friend lover or something like
but
that.
But Elrond still has to marry.
I'll dig for the
it can't last though because Elrond still has to marry Galadriel's daughter. So
Elrond still has to have Arwen, and he's already married. I don't know.
No, bro, they're gonna change that.
They're probably not that dumb.
Arwen's adopted. Okay,
that'd be funny though. Just having a relationship.
Arwen is half dwarf.
The first relationship between an elf and a dwarf is Elrond and during the.
I just had a thought, like Elrond's been sending people away to the afterlife from day one. Go away.
And by the end of their plot, nothing has changed. We're still dealing with the same decision that was presented in the first episode.
I mean, kind of Balrog was.
And then a leaf wakes up the Balrog.
Yeah, is he supposed to be awake right now?
No.
I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to be awake right now.
No, he's not.
Like 4,000 years later. Like we are talking, we are in the 2,000 year of the Second Age, and that happens in year 1960 of the Third Age. So
It happens
I
in
mean,
the third age.
why did they? I mean, I know why, because
Well,
they
they asked
could only-
they asked the creators in Comic-Con. They said, "Hey, we saw a Balrog in the trailer, and it's not supposed to wake up until the third age." And they said, "Well, Balrogs are sneaky."
Yes,
that was their
large
answer.
Creatures of shadow and flame, very sneaky. Did you see how it snuck up on the Fellowship in that movie?
No one saw it coming.
Talk about a jump scare, because everything was quiet, and then suddenly Balrog.
I mean, at least it looked good because they copied Peter Jackson's model to the T. They literally copied and pasted it.
Yeah,
but they don't want these movies connected to his movies. But they do. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, we already know that they're not paying attention to canon or skirting around canon, because the Maiar aren't supposed to be there until 1,000 years into the third age as well. So,
they're putting all this in 50 years instead of over 1,000 years.
Yeah,
which you can look at House of the Dragon as another example of how you can do.
They are skipping so much time in House of the Dragon,
and then make it work, and you can do that in this show.
For the last 2 episodes of House of the Dragon, those child actors have been phenomenal, and they're gone. Then we got 2 episodes with those kid actors, and the next episode they've aged them up again. That is so ballsy. It's insane to me how much time they're skipping, and there's a lot of stuff from the books that they just have to glance over. Like, they could have dragged it out. They don't have to skip this much time, but they are, and it's working.
With a movie or with a show like Rings of Power, where you have ageless elves and nearly ageless Numenorians, you can get away with doing that without even having to recast. But do like House of the Dragon and say, yeah, the time is gonna actually pass like it's supposed to.
It's crazy. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny that they waited. The HBO waited until Amazon announced when they were dropping their series to say, okay, we're doing it 2 weeks before then.
Yeah.
And then they released their first episode for free on YouTube, just to rub it in, because it's so much better.
Because they knew. They
played their hand so freaking well.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And they got rewarded for that. They totally got rewarded. They probably made a lot of money.
And they've regained Game of Thrones fans who are I thought would be spurned for eternity because of how that show ended.
Yeah. Anyone that likes Game of Thrones and is not excited about House of the Dragon it makes no sense, they really brought back, not only that, they made it better, somehow, well, at least, later seasons 7 and 8, they are in 6, some part of 6 of season 6, it's way better than Game of Thrones in those seasons, and it's so similar to Game of Thrones, old school Game of Thrones.
This is such a good point too. This is the perfect scenario. You could cast big names and only have them around for 1 episode, and you don't have to spend a bunch of money. That's such a good point.
You have such good actors. You can even make the episodes a little bit.
You could literally pull a Game of Thrones and kill off the main character at the end of season 1. Yeah, it's just
we gotta end up with the Rings of Power because he's taking the life out of us. We gotta end up.
There's only one more episode. Okay, so
by the way, and David made a note about this, and I think I heard it somewhere in one of the previous episodes that they mentioned as well. And since you guys are at least a little bit more familiar with the lore than I am, or at least way more than I am, is Elrond a half elf?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I'd heard that earlier, but I was a little bit surprised by that even the previous time, and then they reiterated it here. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes, he's the son of the. Oh shoot! It was in my brain 2 seconds ago, and now you asked me. It's like a famous coupling of elf and human.
It was just weird. I'm just kind of curious. So this is more of just a question about the world in general, or what it's at least supposed to be. So a half elf is apparently no less of an elf than a full elf, because he has the same immortality
It's a good thing I looked. It's a good thing I looked it up because I was going to say the wrong couple. There were two famous couples between elf and human. His parents are don't get mad at me. Arendil and Elwing. Elwing. The other couple was the space me again.
Yeah, I think
like
Brimborn says
Is that in The
that
Hobbit? Or-
his father was a mariner or something, like a sailor.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted that point of clarification because I like that was something I was so unaware of before, and I really am just kind of curious. I'm like, oh, I guess
but it's it's funny.
Doesn't change anything.
It's good you bring it up because the show does a stupid thing and says with Arondir's relationship, oh, you don't want to do that. It's never worked between an elf and a human, but they're like one of like their like there's pantheons of Middle Earth are. There's two like really famous couples between an elf and a human.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it makes their because they want to have that drama and probably a little bit of social commentary involved there with it's people might think it's wrong, but it's right, what sort of thing. I don't know.
Us against the world.
Not social commentary, but just
Baron and Luthien. That's the one I was.
Baron and Luthien. Oh, okay. I've heard of those ones.
All right, let's talk about the Harfoots.
Okay, so the Harfoots they meet Slim Shady and Slim Lady and
Slim Lady,
the
Shady Lady.
Their trees got burned, but only like 4 of them. But they're pretending like it's the entire grove.
Yep,
and
then their carriages and the cars, they also burn.
Well, yeah, their motivations flip. That like their attitude towards the stranger flip flop so much. You have a lady that was extremely distrusting of him, saying, "Hey, ask him if he can go do a dangerous magic on the tree," and then they get surprised when something dangerous happens when he's doing.
Yeah, they stand so close to him.
They look at him like he's a monster when it was their plan.
Yeah, but,
it's like
but she has seen what happens, right? Like it scared her before, and then she regained trust. Have everyone just stand back. He's doing a dangerous magic thing.
Oh no, a branch!
Actually, I personally don't necessarily mind their flip-flop on the stranger because to me that makes sense. It tracks that Harfoots and Hobbits have always been very fickle about their trust and fear thing going on like they do with Gandalf all the time. A bunch of them fear him and don't trust him, but then they love watching his fireworks, and then a firework goes a little awry and they're so afraid of it. Like they're very, to me that worked. What bothered me was more the they were so all over the place with the not going off alone, not leaving people behind, and not. I was telling David while I was watching it, I'm like the Nori's father's speech. I think there was like some good moving stuff there, but it was so against the whole. We leave people behind when they get stung by bees because they're idiots. Okay, but
our hearts are bigger than our feet. Like he literally looks to the camera when he says that line.
Which they don't breaks the fourth wall. Hairy feet yet because you saw a couple shots of their feet walking through a river and they weren't big and hairy. But whatever, I actually am fine with that line. I don't mind that line, but it completely contradicts the fact that
have you noticed that
all the time.
Have you noticed that most of them are bad at walking with their prosthetic feet? Like the shot at the end of the episode when they're walking away from camera. Like the one guy, Sadik Burrows, because he's taller, he's good at it. He can walk regularly. All the other girls are waddling like ducks. They're like flipping.
It's like walking with flippers on your feet.
Yeah.
Snorkeling or something.
The other thing that I was saying too is like with his speech there, because I do feel like that was a pretty good speech of like, no, what we really have that's special is that we keep pushing on. And it's like, you should have made that your whole thing. Not we never walk alone or anything like that, but we keep pushing on. So then when you have, hey, yeah, we've had to leave people behind because we always push on. And it's been sad when we've had to leave people behind, but we always push on. Like you could have made that speech be a focal point and actually work it into their whole arc so you can still have the keep pushing forward, don't walk alone and keep pushing forward or whatever. But they don't. It's just all over the place, their characterization. And I like some of it here, but a bunch of it's all over.
In that very scene, there's a nasty lady that has been nasty the entire show. And just an episode before the previous episode, there's one of
she suggested murdering them.
Yeah, just
take their wheels.
And Sadik Burrows says, "Oh man, how come you're always right?
Why are you
never
always
said a bad thing."
She is just saying right now about how she was wrong. She is right now about how she was wrong.
Yeah.
And about how she's been wrong.
She specifically says, "I'm not too proud to admit when I'm wrong," and then he says,
"You're
why are you always right?" It's like,
no, she's the C. She's the C.
Yeah, and it was so cringy and trope. Like, oh, I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go with you. You're not going anywhere without me. It's like, oh my gosh, shut up.
It literally felt like, you know, one of those cooking shows. The whole like, oh, this is the most disappointing meal I have ever seen because you didn't make it for me sooner. You know,
Yeah.
Her mom deciding to 180 on her on that, and there was a line where she was talking to Nori, and Nori has her whole like, I'm only a Harfoot, and she responds with, "Go off to bed." Not a like, figure it out. Just go off to bed now. It's such the weirdest like level of response to that. I don't know. That was a weird one to get stuck on, but the way that that conversation turned didn't make sense for a conversation to turn. It was, we have to end this conversation. Tell her to go to bed, and so she just says, "Go to bed." It was so dumb.
Yeah.
So I brought this comment up earlier, but we were still talking. But yeah, how did Nori even know who these people were and who they were looking for?
Right. Yeah, she didn't know their motivations at all. And plus, they knew magically from sniffing the flower that came out of the tree for some reason what direction he was going. They already knew where he was. And
Don't bring up the flower.
I was just about to bring up the
So his
flower.
magic
Oh my
to
God.
heal the tree and to show that it's sprouting new life, the tree grows a daisy?
Yeah.
Oh, was it a daisy?
Yes, it was a yellow
flower.
This is an apple.
Flowers do grow on trees, yes, but they don't come with a whole little stem.
It wasn't.
And then
They could have been
when they
an
walk
apple
away.
blossom, maybe.
Anything, yeah. or
a
even
leaf,
a new leaf, or a new branch coming up. No,
anything.
A straight up flower that they then, when Feminem and her crew walk up, they just lift out of there. They don't pick it. They lift it right out.
You can see that they just like bored a hole into the tree and just placed the flower because it just slides out.
Yeah.
That's not how plants work.
Yeah. I'm sorry, they used to like holding on to those
They
things.
just filmed
that they
it
have
from
grown.
the side, so it looked like it was growing out of the tree. There's another shot. And
like a
David, you
puppet.
brought up the bad force. I can't even call it forced perspective because that's not what they're doing here. There's another shot in this episode that is even worse.
Yeah.
They literally just have them standing up on a ledge and the Harfoots in a trench, and you get a side shot of it, and they're the same size.
Yes.
But
then there's another shot.
They look taller, but you can see their feet. They're just standing higher.
Yes. And there's another shot too when Nori hands him the apple, and she's way shorter than she's ever shown. Like
it cuts to the camera view of her, and it's like looking down on her.
Well, and honestly, you see this a lot with the Harfoots, but I actually noticed it a little bit with the elves and dwarves too. And I know we've seen it at different times with that, but I know this time there's one where Elrond walks up to Durin, and Durin does this. So you've got an established idea that there's that going on,
and they cut to the wide shot.
They're like this. They're just a little bit different. They're
like the actor is a small man.
Force perspective.
Yeah,
they are incapable of doing
it.
Yeah,
the reality is it probably is a really intensive thing, and they weren't willing to put in the time for that. But I don't think they put the time except for maybe in the CGI post production, because they didn't put it in editing, they didn't put it in writing, they didn't put it in filming apparently, because
like where's this money going to?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I'm doing a video on the. I'm going to do a dedicated video on the force perspective that David's been helping me with.
And it's
but I want you to add the shot from this episode so I can do them together.
So much work. There's so many. It's so inconsistent. It'd be one thing if they were. It changes. The Harfoot height changes all the time. It's not consistent.
They're not willing to put in the time and energy and care to make sure it's consistent.
Yeah,
like
it's the care. The care is the key word there.
Yep.
Because they don't.
Yeah.
But and I guess that's it. Like they just decide to go help.
Yeah, and what makes
what
her
are they
so
going to
good?
do?
Like,
They've already proved that they are no match for these people.
Yeah, they're going to go warn him.
They just need to show up in time to warn him.
Because
a whole day behind.
Yeah, a whole night's length behind, and they're going to go off and warn him that other people that are ahead of him are after him. It's just like
those ladies are not scary at all.
Yeah.
They just look ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't know why they gave her such, such.
Yeah. I think their outfits are
It's
okay.
weird costuming. I don't know. I don't like the costume very much.
Their faces are weird, and the hair is weird.
And feminine,
eyes.
what is he or she? What is it?
Wait. Is that how they refer to him in the books? Elendil the Tall?
Jesus.
Oh, really?
Really?
Is he actually supposed to be 8 feet tall? Like,
Yeah,
that's,
he's supposed
that's
to.
actually pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
well, yeah. Galadriel is supposed to be 6'4". Elendil is apparently 8 feet. That's funny.
The guy is not tall.
Is that a Numenorian trait then? Are they pretty tall?
Yeah, they are. Like...
Elendil. I was thinking Elrond. Yeah, Elendil is supposed to be 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he really?
Yes.
Holy cow!
Yeah, Aragorn in the movies was supposed to be a little bit taller too.
Yeah. And I mean, you can only do so much, and honestly, like that's another thing.
That's his real name in the books. I didn't know that. Elendil the Tall. That is hilarious.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
I will say you can compare and contrast because you look at in the Fellowship of the Rings, right? There's the scene, the wraith looking over the log, and you think about it, and if you wanted to tear it apart, you're like, how the heck does that not, like, it's already being drawn to the ring and it's literally inches below it. How does it get distracted by a sound off in the woods that they then can somehow get away with until the end of the night? And they edit that in a way where you can kind of move past it, and but they come back in where they're running. And then you have this other way, but because the product is so good overall, you can forgive that the continuation of that scene or the way that scene resolves, because the scene itself was intense and paid off something, and then the rest of it's really good, so you can embrace that. Whereas this one, where you have the mirror of them looking over the log to try to see them, and when they walk away and he shink and they just completely miss it, and
there's no tension.
There's too many things going on. Like you don't understand why they missed one thing.
There wasn't even tension in that scene, because even if the orc did notice, Galadriel would just kill them all.
Kill them, yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's
like 2 orcs.
That's the exact problem, is though that like they're trying to mirror them, and this mirror here that they have set up just overemphasizes how much worse this show is than the movies. Even though the movies, you could call that a problem, but it doesn't become a problem because the rest of it's good. And like you said, there's no
this comment. This comment reminded me of another issue I had with the show, but let's read it first. The Numenorians are so tall in the books that they can't ride horses because they would hurt them, and they essentially just nope, and that's the wrong one. They just raise them as pets. That was another thing with the whole Numenorian. So the Numenorian army is just 100% cavalry, which is funny because when Isildur was supposed to, like fighting to join, try to get involved in the war, he said, "Fine, you can come. I guess you'll be part of the cavalry." And because they use that line to do the misinterpretation. Oh, no, you're going to be a stable boy. You're just taking care of the horses.
Yeah.
But that's all. They are all cavalry. There wasn't a single soldier that wasn't mounted.
Yeah.
Yep.
So why was that like a line of dialogue in the show that, okay, you'll be part of the cavalry group?
Yeah. And Elendil, this was another little bit that bothered me with the Elendil when they tell him that his son is dead. Because it wasn't that one. It's when they're trying to get the horse under control.
Yeah.
And he's like,
he's not going to listen to you because he thinks Isildur's still alive. Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing, is he's not going to listen to you, and the other guy has to tell him that. Whereas literally last episode, it was Elendil telling Isildur about that. Mm-hmm. And yes, you can set that all up. It can all work to have him like losing focus on that or losing perspective on that because he's so distraught. But that was a perfect example or a perfect time for them to do it. As we both know, he's not going to listen to you. because that's a reminding him to break him out of his grief. Because if you have him there, but instead it's delivered, he's not going to listen to you, and he's like, "What? He's not? Oh,
Yeah.
like no." Play it right. Play it with consistency within your own universe. Because again, this character that you're telling that to literally showed us that last episode, so he knows that as well as anybody. So tell it to him in a, as we both know, or just with that tone of, he's not going to listen to you. There you go.
But they had to do it because the next episode, the horse is gonna rescue.
Yeah,
he's gonna rescue. He's gonna find Isidore, and he's gonna grab the horse. The leash of the horse, and the horse is going to carry him or something.
Drag him to Rohan. I mean, what?
Maybe not there, but drag him out of the ash and
he's going to bring him to wherever the finale takes place. We don't know because it hasn't been set up.
And it comes down to the fact that they don't trust us to have picked up on any of that, and so they have to hit us over the head with the fact that, oh, see, he's probably alive.
Which, again, isn't a surprise because everyone knows he survives.
Yeah.
He's alive a couple of thousand years later, so yeah.
I'm not dead yet.
That's
what you need to do with this episode for that. I'm not dead yet.
I always had
I'm not dead yet.
I always had a joke that I loved telling, which was I have no interest in watching the new Rise of the Planet of the Apes movie because I mean, I know how it's going to end. They should have called it there's apes in the movie and maybe they take over.
Yeah.
We don't know. Maybe they win. Maybe they don't. Yeah, they're copying the horse scene from Two Tower. They're copying. You can literally see all of the scenes that they're trying to pay homage to. But I wouldn't. In this case, I wouldn't call it paying homage. I would call it just ripping off.
Yeah, copy paste, literally.
Poorly ripping off.
Plagiarism. Even to that point, it's like they're just copying the best parts of what they think they are the best, but that they are the best
together,
parts.
though.
Yeah, slapping it together.
Great.
What's left to talk about?
That's it.
We've already done an hour and a half on this.
I'm done talking about this episode.
Yeah.
I don't have any other comments.
But there are some bad takes that will bring us back to it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Bad takes are always funny.
Okay, let's do some bad takes, everybody.
Screen rants. Bad takes.
Lord of the Rings makes Durin and Disa hard to root for in the Rings of Power. Yes, but not for the reasons that you're saying here.
What are the reasons they give?
We know how it ends because the Balrog wakes up, and so it's hard to root for them. But also, they're horrible people, and we don't want to root for them.
Honestly, I do feel like this is the reason that I have a problem with it. Because, maybe they're not the greatest, but I've liked them for the most part. And even though it wasn't the best here, I didn't hate it. But I agree with this point at the very least about the fact that, because it turns out that they're still mostly wrong. Durin's father saying we shouldn't be digging too deep too fast and all these problems, they're demonstrating that Durin the Fourth is wrong about some of it, at least, that they need to find a different way about this. I don't know.
I gotta go backwards because I started in the middle of my tabs. The Rings of Power just fixed its biggest Galadriel problem.
Oh no.
They could have fixed the biggest problem by having her die, but they didn't. This episode fixes her biggest problem because she showed some emotion by telling us that her husband's dead, which was not her biggest problem. That's it. That she revealed that Celeborn was alive, or that he's dead. That was this character's biggest problem, apparently.
I mean, the biggest problem of the character is the character itself.
Yeah. The character existing is her biggest problem. She's horrible.
Yeah. Should have gone with the flow, literally, with the sarcastic flow.
How Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power gets dwarf women's beards right.
What beards? They're none. They're not there. I don't care what y'all say. There's none. I don't see it.
How? The picture that they are using in this article showcases a distinct lack of beards.
And like, I would even get to the point where I can say, I would be even fine saying, if they decided to say, we just didn't really want to make our women, our dwarf women have beards. You know what? Maybe that's taken a little bit off, but it was such a small piece of the lore. Fine. But don't say you're giving them beards and then don't give them beards.
But they defended the decision in an article by the Hollywood Reporter, which we will get to. But they responded to the complaints about the lack of women dwarfs. No. Believe us, they actually do. We looked at various versions of that facial hair on dwarf women might look like, and the beards where they were applied lovingly one at a time onto Disa. At Comic-Con, they said they had applied each follicle individually. They got these sort of mutton chops on the side that you... Where? Yeah, no, I don't see any mutton chops. There's a very strong argument to be made that dwarf women should have beards, and a very strong argument to be made that they don't. So, and we're happy with where we landed. So even in their justification, they're admitting that they don't care.
Yep.
And this actually goes to what I'm saying. Just say, look, it's really unclear. He's kind of been all over.
Just own up to it.
He decided to not have them have beards. Own up to it and go with it. And you know what? There would be some people they'll complain about it. You guys would probably still complain about it. But I would be totally fine with it. But the problem is when they say, oh yeah, no, they've totally got beards. We lovingly, painstakingly placed every single, little peach fuzz on their face. And that's not a beard. I'm sorry. That is not a beard.
Yeah. Or you can make that a character trait, saying the character of Disa herself doesn't like the beard and she shaves it like twice a day or something. I don't know.
Something.
But don't just skirt around the thing. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. We totally have beards. We paid so much attention that we put them in one by one for hours and hours in dressing and makeup. And it's just like this peach fuzz that you can only see when the lighting is right, backlit perfectly. It's like
there's where their money went is they wasted money on something that does not show up on screen and just makes it worse because they're flip-flopping, doing everything off of what they're saying.
It's like I said before, I don't think they had hair at all until they heard the backlash and they CGI'd some hair on it that you can see in some scenes.
Or maybe even reshoot it. Because sometimes, like Jared says, sometimes you don't even see the hair.
It probably was a reshoot, like you're saying, because now they can say the line, no, we painstakingly applied each hair individually. And
because
they've said
that's seen
multiple times.
You can clearly see in that photo that there's no hair. In that photo, there's no hair. And in other scenes, you can see a little bit of like mutton chops, like they say.
Yeah,
but
it was reshoots.
It makes no sense,
I know literal children who have more peach fuzz than I have seen on Disa's face.
Yeah, my brand new baby has more facial hair than this.
Yeah. Those Mexicans have some really weird beards. 15-year-old Mexicans with fully grown beards, you
didn't want to have them have beards and own it. Yeah. If you apparently don't care what these fans that are yelling at you and complaining about, if you don't care about what they think, then don't care and just don't do it and embrace it.
Okay.
Yep.
I believe that this title was changed recently because it used to read this was not our Game of Thrones. Amazon execs says fans don't want Rings of Power to have sex and a level of provocative violence, which doesn't really check out when you watch the show and they put in a bunch of provocative violence.
It's not Game of Thrones.
They are trying so hard to have this be their Game of Thrones.
Well, and I thought I'd heard a lot of things saying that they were like, we're going to make it Game of Thrones. We're going to put some sex and provocative violence in there.
They said it a lot.
A lot. And now they're like, oh, no, we didn't want to do that. Because to me, I will say, it's violent, but it's not Game of Thrones violent.
No, but then you'll have a random shot that's extremely gory, and you have
it comes out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, they just put it out there.
Pretty darn gory.
You have the
bulging
warg
eyes, that was
disemboweling them. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Mom. That's a good comment.
The Emperor's new beards. Nice.
Oh.
I swear there's a beard. Didn't you see the beard?
No, yeah. I guess we all must be blind. There's definitely a beard going on.
You know, that's one of my favorite comments so far. There have been some really good ones, but that's a great one.
That's a good one. Okay, this one's gonna take a while to get through because there is so much garbage. But the showrunners just did an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, just justifying all of this crap, and it is crappy. So, the Rings of Power showrunners break silence on Backlash, Sauron, and Season 2. Two first-time showrunners who landed TV's biggest series give
the Hollywood
Reporter a behind-the-scenes tour as they navigate challenges even scarier than Mordor. From patently evil online trolling to massive industry expectations. They've stooped to a brand new low. We are evil. Tolkien fans are now evil people for not liking this show. You can go screw yourselves, JD Bain and Patrick McKay. You are the evil people here. But let's get into it. So they have the war room. They show them a bunch of pictures for season 2. And it looks so stunning. It looks so brave. There was also a line. Oh, yeah. The audience score is not good, guys. And that's excluding all of the the reviews that they've cut out, which they've admitted to, by the way. This is another article. Not the showrunner, but like the one of the head producer, Jennifer Salk, has admitted that they are actively censoring reviews of the Rings of Power because they include points of view that we shouldn't want and shouldn't support. Yeah, it's
lovely.
Yeah. So if you say anything about the show being woke, they will reject your review on Amazon. So this number should be a lot lower, by the way. But this is the Rotten Tomatoes score. But on the Amazon reviews, like it's insane. There's so much stupid stuff in here. And I'm going to miss some of it. I kind of want to just read this verbatim on the channel. It's become a culture war. Some people have, taken up the mantle of this fight. It's been the most cynical point of view is that people calling this a cash grab, because it's the opposite. This is the most earnest. This is the most earnest production. This is not a paycheck job for anybody.
So they're not getting paid.
So then how big is your paycheck, huh?
Bigger than the actors, probably.
Yeah.
They
made a lot of money. Okay. It's definitely a paycheck.
Hey, look
job.
at their outfits. Like they in
Look at
their
the way they're
previous
dressed.
photos. Bro, in the previous photos,
They are not doing this for the money,
bro,
guys.
in their previous photos, they were just dressing like basic shirts, you know, like they were a little bit nerdy.
Previous photos of them, they look kind of nerdy, right?
Yeah.
And this is they're in their Gucci boots and in this like probably $10,000 jacket. I don't know.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said they kept pitching the third age, and we their approach was Netflix wanted to make it like a Marvel thing with a bunch of spin-offs, and HBO wanted to remake the original trilogy. Yeah. The title of the thing is called Ringleaders. Yeah, it's there because they're running a circus. Yeah, they didn't even realize that looked bad. This is great. Yeah, next month this is going to be the argument. If you don't like the show, because they have nowhere to go after this, right? They've already called everyone racist.
I would have preferred that they done it at least the spin-off or the remake, probably done it better than the Rings of Power.
Yeah. So they said it was our collective passion and fidelity to Tolkien that won the day because they have no experience. I hope I don't skip over it because they talk about how little experience they had. A shiver ran through us when someone asked us if we wanted to do Lord of the Rings. Ooh, okay, here we go. So they moved to Los Angeles and spent years trying their hand at screenwriting without a big win. Their previous gig was at Bad Robot, which is J.J. Abrams, and we all know how good he is at rebooting franchises.
That makes sense because of all their mystery boxes they've got going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, keep reading. Their job was to punch up scripts, okay, to make them more exciting. And then they developed one project that was abandoned. Their Star Trek movie was so bad it got rejected, and they've made some pretty bad Star Trek movies, guys.
The last one was.
We reached a point where we'd been trying for 10 years for movies that didn't get made. It's like, these were so good. Our writing was impeccable. There was absolutely no reason why, but they just weren't getting made. The script was right. Definitely the fault wasn't on us. The title was right. The director was right. And it was a big IP that we'd ruined and people didn't want to do it. And nothing was still happening. Maybe because people were smart.
Common denominator here.
So we thought, maybe we should try our hand at this whole TV thing. And people asked us, what would you want to do? And we thought, the Lord of the Rings. We want to destroy that. So we're going to throw everything we have.
I also find really interesting with that is them talking about how they punched up scripts. So obviously they have not done a whole lot of working on their own thing, which to me, that really speaks to what's going on with this. They are everything is just punched up, but from nothing.
Yeah.
They punched up nothing.
They punched up their favorite scenes from the original trilogy and tried to remake it and shoehorn it into their convoluted plot.
Yep.
This next stuff is filler. This article is super long, so I'm trying to breeze through it as best I can. So their pitch was, we want to do basically the opening sequence in Lord of the Rings, the stuff that's being narrated by Galadriel. We want to make that into a TV show and change literally every aspect of it. But we'll go on. We wanted it to be like Braveheart, not like Narnia. Which didn't they claim they didn't want it to be like Game of Thrones? Right? Anyone remember that article that we read 2 minutes ago?
Yeah.
So they found it. Okay, we're skipping.
Yeah, they literally said there, against all the resumes, we were the dark horse candidates again
because they had nothing on their resume.
Yeah.
I saw something up there that said something that made it seem like they thought that there was a storyboard, but I don't know. It doesn't look like that's happening on the show.
Yeah, they kept an Aragorn story. That was someone else. Oh, the Russo brothers pitched an Aragorn story, so they're throwing shade at people who've been successful and made good things, right?
That'd be cool, Aragorn. That's a cool character. I would
watch that. I would if the Russo brothers directed an Aragorn show. I would watch that over this.
Yeah, just writer going around,
Yeah, I just
Strider.
Oh, and this is the telling part. So they kept pitching the show. When no one was saying yes until they called up J.J. Abrams and said, "Hey, go talk to Amazon and make them give this to us." And that moved the needle.
Oh. Gosh.
They call in a favor. They probably had some dirt on J.J. Abrams because for them to get that job without they having any talent and any experience, it's because they probably had some dirt on J.J. Abrams and they used it as leverage to call in a favor so J.J. Abrams, move the needle.
It was complicated. Yeah. Oh, we're blaming some of our missteps on COVID delays. because in this article they admit, one of the things that one of the weaknesses of our show, the only one we will admit to, because Amazon is kind of mad at us right now, so we have to admit some fault, is that the show didn't have the same urgency that a Tolkien story should. And so they're blaming that on COVID, though. They brought in another bad robot veteran to come help them, Lindsay Weber, for season 2. They abandoned all of the sets that they built in New Zealand to go to the UK for some reason. Okay, where is it? It's just so stupid. There's just so much just dumb stuff in here, but we're just gonna skip to the end where he calls us all evil. And it's the next one. Okay. So for context, they're saying there's been a lot of criticism. This is I'm glad okay. Somewhere before this, they say we also didn't want to make this show the Sauron show and have everything be about him, but that's all they've done.
Well,
is try
and also
Sauron mystery box.
If you're making this into the full fleshed out version of what Galadriel was telling us in the beginning of the first Lord of the Rings, that's all about how Sauron was destroying the world, and they fought against Sauron and cut off his hand. Yep. What?
Oh.
Her, her motivation is her brother dying to Sauron. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I skipped. I was in the wrong part entirely.
And the whole premise of the show.
If you haven't noticed, this article is huge, so I'm a little bit scatterbrained because we're doing this live. It would work better as an edited video, okay? But it's so stupid. I wanted to bring it up here. Okay, so someone asked him, people are saying that your show is woke and politically correct and it's not good. And they of course bring up like the biggest straw man possible. Like, here's a review saying stuff that I can't read on stream or we'll get demonetized. And you can see that he looked visibly distressed at the topic. And this is their response. The spirit of Tolkien is about disparate peoples who don't trust one another and look different from one another, different skin tones and stuff, but they find common ground in friendship and accomplishing big things. That's the spirit that we've tried to inculcate into every single comma and period. First off, you should do it in the words, not the commas and the periods, because that's not going to bring any emotion across. Okay, that's just silly. And this is the aspiration that would be the fact that this aspiration would be offensive to people and enrage them is very hard for us to understand. It's hard for you to understand because this is a straw man argument and you're ignoring the very real criticisms that people are having. Okay, but let's go on. Mm-hmm. What are they protecting? What are we protecting? Tolkien's legacy, Tolkien's story, the one that you are insistent on changing because you think that you're better than him. But they'll never. I don't see how people are saying these things. I don't see how they can think that they're fighting for good. There's even a line in this episode where we made Galadriel say something that was out of character. She said that every war is fought from within and from without. And if you're fighting for something that you think is good, and if you do something worse in that fight, then you become evil. I don't see how people who are saying these things think that they're fighting for good. It's patently evil.
Yep.
This is a whole new low. They've run out of excuses for how garbage this show is. And they already played the race card. So now they're trying to use morality, which is something that they don't have, which is why it sounds so silly coming from their lips. We are evil for wanting to see Tolkien's story, not yours. How does that even remotely track with any modicum of logic?
They are the evil.
Exactly. Like they're trying to hide behind this mask of morality, but calling us evil, like that is what is evil. These are evil people trying to destroy Tolkien's work.
Yeah.
Not even Tolkien's work is they try to destroy good, good things.
Yeah.
They really want to give us the worst thing possible, so we hate whatever comes out next from that name.
But they already, and they know that it's going to trigger people. They know that it's going to make people upset, and they already have their shields protected. Like, you can't say that because that's racist. You can't say that because that's evil.
Yeah.
They're hiding behind this flimsy woke shield and pretending that they are virtuous.
Yep.
And that is evil.
Yeah.
Anybody that disagrees with them or doesn't like their interpretation is not doesn't have different tastes or doesn't have any leg to stand on. They're just evil.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying on the surface, there's a lot of things that they're saying on the surface that I can even get behind and agree that there's room for and need for and all of that.
And this is there's a really good comment. This may be the spirit of the third age, is people bringing together, but that's not the story of the second age. The second age is not about friendship. It's about the hubris of man, which is a theme that is happening continuously. It happens with or I guess that doesn't happen until the third age either with the dwarves. I get it confused because the show thinks that it happens at the second age. But the dwarves, it's all about hubris and greed, digging for mithril.
Yep.
And a bad thing happens. Numenor is about the greed of man. And a bad thing happens. It's about hubris.
Not fear that elves will take their jobs.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that can be seen. If you want to make some political statements to some degree or another, again, I think it causes problems when you put too much of it in there, but it happens on both sides of political spectrum. So you could still have an interesting story that talks about hubris of people and have it, fit your narrative to some degree or another. But yeah.
In some point, Tolkien is political, but in a neutral sense. He talks about the corruption of men and of any species, and that's about it. He doesn't talk about the current trend,
Yeah, it's silly, and there's a bunch of other stupid crap in this article, but we've wasted too much time on it already.
Yeah. Exactly.
So here are a couple more silly bad takes. This one's not a bad take. This is just news. Top Gun Maverick has finally dropped off the top 10 list after 20 weeks and defeating 30 movies.
Wow.
It is finally not in my local theater.
Yeah, it's still playing in some theaters.
Here in Mexico is still the big thing.
Which is crazy because you can buy it online right now.
Yeah, that's
and
5 months.
Still playing in theaters.
Watch it for free if you have Amazon Prime, or there's one of them that it's actually.
No, you have to buy it. I think with Amazon
Prime.
You
don't even have to buy it beyond the subscription.
Yeah, but it's cheaper than going to the actual cinemas.
It's so good.
Yeah.
In Mexico, it's still a big thing. It's you go to. I watch it like I've watched it like 3 times.
How is that possible, though? Because this show's about Americans. I thought you could only relate to people who had the same skin color as you.
No, but there's a brown person.
There is a brown person. Okay, that checks out. That checks out. That's why you like Top
Gun. Yeah, enough representation. No, but yeah, there's like a small number of 4DX movie theaters, and the only thing that they show is Top Gun Maverick, and that's why everyone's going to see the movie.
So freaking good.
So good, and the experience with the 4DX is the only enjoyable experience I've gotten out with 4DX.
That's going to be a great 4DX one. We had some friends that took us to see a movie 4DX, and I'm like, this isn't a movie that needs to be 4DX in any way, shape, or form. It was a fine movie. I didn't mind it. It was good. But then I was seeing Top Gun Maverick. I'm like, this would be what you want to see with a little bit of that motion going on. That would be a great one.
It's
yeah,
so good.
movies where they fly, like Superman, Man of Steel, like that was an awesome movie because there was a lot of interactions. But I'm rambling on. Yeah, Top Gun is great.
That's how you make sequels, or it's
Or
essentially
even-
doing the same thing, right? Except it's a sequel instead of a prequel. But this is how you do it right, guys. So there's more bros drama, because it's not just Billy Eichner on Twitter saying anyone who didn't see my movie is a homophobe, which is just silly. But this actor who I've never heard of before today, Guy Branum, I guess he was in the movie called Bros. I haven't seen him in anything else ever, but he's calling out critics of Billy Eichner and Bros, because we're racist, I guess.
Wait, we're racist, not homophobic.
Oh, sorry, we're
Or is that-
homophobic.
Okay. Yeah.
Who is
I have no idea.
Billy Eichner?
It was Billy Eichner. Oh, he was the worst part about Parks and Recreation.
He was he often plays the very loud, over the top gay guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I've seen him. He's the guy from Billy on the Street.
Yes.
Oh, he's so annoying.
He's annoying. Yeah.
He cannot
some of his
improvise.
things.
He
I've liked
cannot
some of his
improvise
things.
at all.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's
he has
Superman.
good things, but the best things are with great, actors or celebrities that have some charisma, or that are sketches that are written. But the things that when he's, there's a great scene when he's getting called out by a black lady. It's hilarious. He doesn't know what to do.
But oh shoot, what's so funny is that he's trying because so Billy Eichner has been very vocal and annoying on Twitter about his movie and how no one's watching it. And Guy Branum was apparently in the movie too, and he tries to make it about himself. So he's like, "Oh, so people are being really mean to Billy Eichner, a bunch of white, cis, rich, hot or not hot people, not hot enough to be movie stars like me. I'm apparently a very attractive movie star." And he says, but what people are leaving out of the conversation is the rest of the cast, like me. I want to be part of it. Like, we're hurting too because people aren't seeing my movie. And what's super funny is he's not just attacking critics of their movie, he's attacking other movies too. He's attacking Brendan Fraser for his role in The Whale, saying Brendan Fraser isn't really gay and he's not really fat.
But he's a little bit overweight.
Not as fat as the character in the movie, but they go through an entire weight change. So
and Guy Branum has real problems with Darren Aronofsky casting a straight actor to play a fat guy and someone who's not as fat as me to play a fat gay guy in The Whale.
Actors, what they do?
Who is Guy Branum? No one has heard of you.
No.
But we have heard of Brendan Fraser.
But by the way, what do actors do?
They pretend.
Oh, are you sure they don't just show up and be themselves?
Wait, are you telling me that Brendan
Fraser
didn't hunt mummies in real life?
He didn't?
Dude, wow. Do you want to know where Guy Branum is famous for?
Didn't he grow up in the jungle with an ape named Ape?
No, he's a performer, a sketch performer for the G4 network.
Wait, he's in G4?
See, yes. See.
No wonder I've never heard of him.
Dude, and he's a regular panelist on Chelsea Lately on E! Network. God knows what the hell that is. But the E! Network is pretty obscure by itself. But yeah, is Chelsea Lately from Chelsea Handler?
Chelsea Handler.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no one knows who you are and no one cares. And we're not watching your movie because you're homophobic. We're not watching your movie because you're annoying. Okay. Where was Cad Bane during the original trilogy, and why didn't Darth Vader hire him? He was in Dave Filoni's head because he's made up.
Where was? Sorry, go ahead. I was just saying.
That's it.
Where was Mon Mothma until Episode 6? Not every character that exists in the universe has to be shown on screen.
Yeah.
He was made up after the fact. He was an afterthought. Who cares?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Hey, guess what? He wasn't in the prequel trilogy either, because you didn't think of him until after that.
Why wasn't Ahsoka in Episode 3?
Why wasn't Ahsoka in the prequel trilogy? Where was she the whole time?
Where was she in the sequel trilogy? Because she's there afterwards.
Yeah.
This highlights my entire issue with all of those animated series in general, but it's...
So you actually kind of agree with this then?
I just, yeah. Well, I don't think the question is silly.
Yeah, but still.
Because it's obvious why.
Yeah, agreed.
David, you sent me this one, 10 things from the MCU Phase 1 that have aged poorly.
Yes.
Their 10 things lists are always interesting.
Yeah, so as always, their list is kind of bad.
Kinda. Well, you gotta tear down, the ladder that you used to climb.
Yep.
You gotta pull it up behind you,
Exactly.
Because Phase 4 has been doing so well.
Yep.
We gotta make it look good by comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't honestly remember what all is on this list, but yeah.
Thor's hair got better with time.
That's
what?
Yeah, like who cares?
His hair?
You go back and watch those
but
old
the story got worse.
Yeah.
The story got worse.
His hair did get better because he doesn't bleach his eyebrows anymore.
Hawkeye was ignored because he doesn't have superpowers. They included him as best they could.
Yep.
And
he probably does too much in the Avengers movie.
He was arguably, there's a ton of people who loved Hawkeye and the fact that he's this non-superpowered being able to hold toe-to-toe relatively with a lot of these superpowers. So, what? Wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Wasn't ignored.
Jane Foster was a very boring character. Yeah. And for some reason, there's more of her now. So what aged poorly?
She wasn't any more interesting in Love and Thunder.
What aged poorly? You just gave us more of her boringness.
I liked her better in Thor than I liked her in Love and Thunder.
She was better.
I didn't mind I didn't mind her in Love and Thunder, but she was better in the original Thor.
I mean, this is gone now.
Drunk Iron Man making a fool of himself gave fans secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah, so this is talking about Iron Man 3, I think.
Iron Man, no, he's drunk in Iron Man 2.
Or Iron Man 2.
The party.
Oh, yeah, but it makes the villain for Iron Man 3, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, this is...
That was kind of the point
again,
of
that's
the movie, though, right?
Yeah.
Is that he was... that he used to be a bad person and now he's changed, but now he has to deal with the consequences of the things that he did when he wasn't a good person.
Yeah.
And he might still struggle from time to time. He didn't just magically become a perfect person.
Wasn't that the whole point?
Yeah. I like those scenes. I think they, send a message of Tony's going through a rough time.
That you can change. That you can, unlike Galadriel, grow as a person?
Yes, exactly.
Natasha was objectified way too often. I will concede the point, but I won't say that it's better now.
Agreed. That's where I was going to go. I don't think they're doing any better or different.
Also, that's kind of why she was in the movie.
That's kind of the point of her character in the first place.
She's
was
a
the Black
seductress,
Widow.
like a Black Widow.
Exactly.
And then they make her. They still make her really interesting and cool.
I will say that yes, she was objectified often, and that's why we liked it.
Yeah, and he was not only a beautiful woman. She was all she was strong as well. She was so
also
cool.
had a good character.
Yeah, she was so cool. I love her acting.
That's why she was good. She seduced the people and took them off guard, and then she beat them up.
She was always in control.
The opening scene.
Good night, Jacob. Thanks for joining the stream.
Jacob.
Thank you so much.
I just oh man, it's silly. But like they're not still objectifying women in current Marvel movies
and men more than ever.
They make Thor naked and talk about his penis in the new movie.
Yeah. Yep. My biggest problem, and I really work hard to frame it this way because people can take it the wrong way otherwise. Rather than trying to say, well, you're objectifying women, so we can objectify men now. I am totally down with if we're not objectifying men and you feel like that's unequal, because it is, stop objectifying the women too. But that doesn't mean that you can get away with doing the same thing that you're complaining about to different people.
Yep.
Yeah. Raise the bar. Don't lower it for the
she's,
ones that it's not
she's literally playing a seductress, a femme fatale.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do.
Literally was part of her job when she was a spy.
In Iron Man 2, when she shows up, her job is to seduce Tony Stark. And now we're complaining that she did a good job at it.
Yeah. First scene of Avengers too, like she was on that pretty tight dress.
They send her to go seduce Bruce Banner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or her opening. No, that's in Avengers. Yeah, her opening scene in Avengers is she's also sent to seduce the Russians.
Exactly. She had a pretty tight dress. I remember.
And that was the point.
And
because they gave her information that they shouldn't have.
She knows who she's playing too, because then later, also in Avengers, what does she do with Loki? She tricks him. She doesn't seduce him.
She uses her brain seduction.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's a great scene. Okay. There's more though, because the Incredible Hulk feels weirdly out of the MCU.
Maybe it's because they changed the actor.
But they keep referencing stuff from the movie all the time.
Yeah, and it's because it was also it's one that has weird rights issues going on, and they hadn't figured out the MCU yet, and only had so much control over this one since it had to be distributed by Paramount, and again they had to replace the actor.
You talk about a downgrade, man! Oh my gosh,
what a downgrade!
Yep.
I get that he's hard to work with, but it was worth it. I would say.
Yeah.
Forget about the actor, like the story and the origin and the whole sentiment about the character.
I actually really like the Incredible Hulk. It's a good movie.
The Hulk in Avengers, the first Avengers was nice, was decent. He has some moments, but he has some weird other moments.
Yeah.
And
I do like that Hulk looks like Mark Ruffalo. It didn't completely change. Because in this version, the Incredible Hulk
looked nothing.
Hulk does not look like this actor.
But that Hulk looked like really intimidating.
But he looks cool.
Hulk one looked cool. And for 2008, my God, the animation was. Whew.
And I personally don't mind Mark Ruffalo myself. I know you don't like him, but
I think he's a bad actor and a bad person. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think he's fine. But
I think everybody, like all the Hollywood people, are bad people. So
not all of them. Robert Downey Jr. is a good person.
Yeah, it looks like he was really bad.
That's why they killed him off.
Yeah. So right here, his jokes were misogynistic.
Hold on. Iron Ma's jokes were misogynist and even transphobic.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going with the transphobic part, but
I'd have to watch them again, but I don't doubt it.
Yeah. So it says here,
going to the movies in my mind, and I cannot see.
You mean that he was playing a misogynist?
Yeah, that's his character again. He's a playboy. and a billionaire playboy.
He's a millionaire.
Yeah, his character growth to settle down with Pepper Potts is overcoming that. It's
and he's one of the best fathers of the MCU, to be honest.
Yeah.
But where they
at the end,
Tony made fun of Rhodey for allegedly spending the night with a trans woman.
Yeah, I don't remember where that happened.
Probably Iron Man
I don't
3
doubt
or
that.
2. You know, those movies were wild.
Okay, I'll give him this one. Thanos looked silly in the teaser. Sure.
But
but come on.
He is a silly-looking character to try to take from the comics to the live-action universe, and then they eventually did get it worked out pretty darn well. But even this,
not bad.
Sooner than a flying whale thing.
It's their first point that holds water, though.
Yeah.
So I'll give him a bone.
Yep.
Phase 1 had very boring villains, and you chose the most interesting one to
Red Skull is
showcase
really.
here.
Yeah,
Red Skull was great.
Also, Loki was great in
Loki.
In Thor
General
movies. In Thor movies, Loki was great. I don't think he was the best villain in Avengers because he was just kind of like the puppet villain. But in the Thor movies, Loki was a fantastic villain.
And to be fair, I think they've said that was not really that much of an accident. We weren't really as worried about that because these are about the heroes. We were trying to make the movies about the heroes, so you don't want the villains to overshadow them. And I think that's fine. You can say wasn't the greatest villain, but that doesn't make it the worst thing or terrible that it happened. Yeah,
it was a real menace to the hero. To be honest, he went to in ice, and that's canon.
Yeah,
at least they respected that.
Go.
Number 1.
I'm done. I'm not even reading.
Oh my god.
What? Go screw yourself. Overwatch 2 is being review bombed. No, it's not. It's being reviewed, and people don't like it.
Yeah.
I still maintain that both can exist, but yeah.
People can't even get into the game.
Yeah, dude,
their criticism is valid.
I spent the whole day trying to get in a game, and I went in 10,000. There was still 10,000 people, left in the queue. It was insane. I tried so hard to do it.
This is what's so ridiculous with creators these days is they can't see any fault of their own.
Yeah,
if
it's never their fault.
Doesn't like their product, it's not their fault.
JD Payne and Patrick McKay were unsuccessful for 10 years in Hollywood, but it definitely wasn't our scripts. Our scripts were perfect. We had the best directors. We have the best. We had the best directors lined up.
But the racist producers.
Yeah. You just call them names, call them sexist, call them racist, call them online trolls. Call them.
Here's the thing, though. I don't believe in review bombing. I don't think it's a thing. And in the small cases where it technically has happened, it's still valid criticism. When you have a fan base that is so passionately against that's all part and it goes both ways. When you have people who are obsessed about a thing, they positively review it, and just because they happen to be more passionate about it than would normally be viewed as normal, that just means that it's better or worse.
Yeah,
review bombing is so fake. It's just more criticism.
Yeah, and the thing is, to hate it, sometimes you don't even have to watch it. And to love it, you kind of have to watch it to really defend it.
Yeah. No, the if you look at the reviews for Rings of Power, it's being positively review bombed.
Yeah.
The positive reviews are one sentence. It's fantastic. It's good. It's good. The negative reviews
are very detailed.
Are paragraphs giving valid criticism, and half of those don't make it. More than half.
You can feel the heart
censoring reviews.
You can feel the heart behind the person writing the review. Some of the reviews that are positive are bots,
and I concede that some of the negative reviews are also bots. But I think that both of those are valid. When you have someone who is that passionate, who cares that much, if it's positive or negative, you've still made someone that passionately positive or negative, and that's valid criticism.
I think what from the things that I've heard about review bombing, the things that make me the most unhappy about what I hear about review bombing is generally when it's like reviewing something that isn't out yet. And reviewing it negatively, which yes could be a valid criticism. Oftentimes, or some of the examples I've heard have been because of some other thing that they didn't like, or because some trailers or wherever they go over and review bomb this other thing. The ones that I do think at least clue into what you're saying, and I think there's at least some worthwhileness there, although I think people sometimes might take it too far, is when they're saying, like we were before Rings of Power, especially you guys. Before Rings of Power, hearing the ways that these people are talking about how they approach the material and feeling like I don't like what you are saying, so I am starting out with a negative perspective because I don't like how you're presenting this.
Yeah,
those are the same ideas, right?
I don't need to watch the new Velma show to know that I'm not going to like it because I saw the trailer and they opened with attacking fans.
Yeah, that was really weird. But I'm probably going to watch it because it's going to be so bad. It's going to be hilarious.
It's going to make some good content. Yeah.
Yeah, and forget about the lore about Scooby-Doo. That doesn't even matter.
But I don't need to watch it to know that it's not going to be something that I enjoy.
See, Hannah knew you weren't going to like Scooby-Doo stuff. Taking off masks and things like that is not your. Sorry, that was a.
But talking of Scooby-Doo, we're done with our bad takes, and so now we got a joke. Woke Hollywood turns another beloved children's character gay. Oh, wait, it's Velma? Yeah, sure, whatever, go for it.
Yeah, no one really cares. I mean, if they made Shaggy...
go ahead.
They made Shaggy gay, that'd be weird.
They made Shaggy black.
I mean, how dare they? They made the dopey guy, the stoner, the black guy.
Does he have dreads? Is he Jamaican?
Yes.
Is he really? No! Oh no!
Oh
that's so bad.
And he has the worst, the most stereotypical dreads. Those dreads that just come out of his hair.
That's so bad.
Show them, my
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
Where did they? Was it on Twitter?
Oh, that's the wrong.
Yes.
I can get behind. There's room to try to get some extra diversity and things. I don't think it's great to try to take an existing character and twist it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's a problematic venture to go towards. But if you're going to do it, don't do it where you're literally leaning into an extra stereotype. Oh my gosh.
This is one of the screenshots from the show.
Oh God. Can you even show it?
Yeah, I don't want to show it for very long. But Daphne's naked, covered in soap.
Oh my gosh.
It's Asian.
Yep, because you know what was wrong with Marvel Phase 1 was they objectified Black Widow too much. So
I'm trying to find the stills on Twitter, and all I'm seeing is a bunch
Asian
of
Daphne. It's Indian Velma. It's white guild. White guild.
Oh my gosh.
All I'm seeing, I can't show this on stream. I'm seeing a bunch of I'm seeing a bunch of fan-made gross stuff right now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, where are the original stills? Here it is.
Just
found it. Oh gosh, that was not pleasant to wade through. A bunch of fan art, but here's Shaggy.
Yeah,
that's
so him Smokey.
Apparently Shaggy's real name is Norville. That they didn't change that though. That's his name, but no one calls him Norville. So,
wow, that's so bad.
That legitimately that's one of those things that I cannot believe that somebody with that does have, because there are tons of people who do genuinely have that that feeling that they really want to make sure that there's that representation and not, stereotyping people going out there, that nobody looked at that and said, should we make the stoner character a black guy? And didn't say, no, we shouldn't.
They're careful,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't change his shirt to being like the Rastafari, the
we did us.
Bob Marley on his shirt, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Like that's the sort of thing that, again, it will and should make even the people on the left very uncomfortable, because that's the wrong way to do that.
But it shows they are really racist. They are the same people that made the stereotypes in the 90s and in the 2000s of the black guy. They made in stony, lazy, or a criminal, and the same they did with the Mexicans. So that reveals the way they really look at people.
I finally found the stills I was looking for.
Yeah,
but
thank God.
Don't Google Velma on Twitter, because you will see some gross stuff.
Yeah.
But here's Fred. They just made him look like a retard.
Yeah, Fred.
He's cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Fred should be the most competent. Like, he's generally the most.
Yeah.
Besides Velma should be the most competent, and then Fred, then Daphne, then.
But Fred, was the go-getter. Fred was always the go-getter.
Yeah.
But they made the whole arc, and this is the interview with the showrunner, this Indian girl. I don't know, Misandri, something like that. She said that the whole arc from Fred, it was supposed to be about white guilt. So he was, going to be a privileged white male who is going to repent his privilege or something like that.
Mindy Kaling is
Mindy Kaling. That's
she
the
was
girl.
On
The Office, the girl from The Office, the Indian girl from The Office,
the one that everyone hated. Yeah, that one.
Oh, she was so annoying, so bad.
She was supposed to be an annoying character, so
yeah, but
she's also annoying in real life, though. Yeah. She wasn't really doing a character on The Office.
She did, yeah.
She was playing in real life, and here probably seems like she's playing in real life, but from the perspective of a hater online, something like that. Like a toxic fan.
I didn't think you were allowed to post this kind of stuff on Twitter. I am closing that window.
Apparently, you can.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk is here.
Elon Musk to save the day, baby. now they're saying he can't buy Twitter after they kept complaining. After they sued him to force him to buy Twitter. They're saying, "Oh no, don't call our bluff." Oh, okay.
Hey, Martina's back. We should talk Hocus Pocus.
Back. Let's talk about. Oh gosh, Hocus Pocus. Okay, so David, I hate you. You made me watch Hocus Pocus 2. It was literally the worst thing I've ever said. I made a couple of predictions before watching it, and they were all correct.
Thank God I haven't watched it.
I only watched the first 20 minutes of it or something like that. I didn't have enough time to, but I haven't had a problem. It fits with that whole campy, goofy kind of over the topness. The little actresses at the beginning were very, very.
Oh my gosh!
They were. It was
horrible.
Well, no, they were caricatures of the older things, and
way over the top.
That's what it should. That's what because the original movie was over the top. Like they were like that in the original movie. So lead into it, go with it, because that's what the original was.
Yes, they were funny, but they were also scary. A bullet point that was completely missed in the sequel.
Yeah, there are like little jump scares where you get a little scared, but I think they were trying to. Okay.
Name one thing that was scary in the movie.
At the very beginning when they come back.
Let me see.
Okay, go ahead.
When they come back. And they
start when they start performing, and the girls are like,
"We're back! The witches are back." That was
I
scary
was
to
like,
you.
"What is this?" And I was like, "Who are they performing for?" And then the girl says, "Who are they performing for?" And they're like, "You." And I was like, "Oh, that was funny." Like that was self-aware. That was funny.
So when they first started singing, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is so stupid. Who are they performing for?" And then they literally say that in the movie, and then jump out, and they're like, "Okay, I guess that." that's all right. That worked.
I don't like that kind of self-aware comedy. I think it's hack.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I liked it. Did you not enjoy the Walgreens scene?
You told me that it got good in the middle, and I
The
was
Walgreens
waiting
scene,
entire time.
That entire Walgreens scene could have been in the original movie. It was so perfect.
Yeah, the Walgreens scene was pretty good.
What was funny about the Walgreens scene?
They go to the Walgreens. They have
and
the
they just start eating a bunch of lotion. Ha! So funny.
It's hilarious.
Again, have you watched the original? Because that's
yes,
the sort of stuff that they would do in the original. They're being so goofy. Like she rides a vacuum cleaner in the original. So like, because she's so clueless about the modern age, they literally trick them into thinking that the sun has risen an hour early because of daylight savings, which they'd have never heard about.
The difference is there were lots of moments like that in the original where they outsmart them because of their lack of knowledge of the modern world.
And that's what
but in the Walgreens scene, there was literally only one joke, and it's that, I'm going to tell them that lotions are the new potions, and then they sit there eating them and for 10 minutes, and that's the only joke.
And it was,
but the best part is
it was so good. They had the face mask and like, oh look, the skin of a child, and she starts eating it. And then it was so well crafted that they had the girl come up and is like, oh, I love your costume. Let's do a selfie. And they have the
filter is a beauty filter. I thought that was clever.
They say, oh look, it's working because they have we look beautiful in this picture because there's a beauty filter on it.
But then it wasn't working because they looked in that bulbous mirror.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was really hilarious and well crafted, and I liked too.
Alan's not here.
You rolled your eyes at the Roomba that Mary's riding a Roomba. I thought it was a very natural progression.
Because she did a vacuum in the first movie, and then she ride a Roomba in this one.
More modern vacuum, but it wasn't.
It's modernized. It's better.
But it wasn't just a stupid gag because it came back later and was actually pertinent to the story. It helped them escape.
I hated that even more because the kids were standing right there and did nothing.
Yeah. But
yeah.
No, but for me, I will say that watching this movie, I was wishing that I was just watching the original.
Yeah.
But
there's absolutely no reason to watch Hocus Pocus 2. Any jokes that happen in this are done better in the original. And there's I will never rewatch it, and I don't want my kids watching it. Apart from the poor writing, the morals are they're horrible.
They have terrible, very terrible morals, especially with the finale that ties everything together. Another thing, so
my kids will not watch this movie.
Another positive that I have is I do like their other they recreate the I put a spell on you type of thing, and they put a whole trance on the whole village, and they think it's like a flash mob thing.
That was
I don't know. I thought that was funny. And that
I'm gonna get you. We're gonna find you.
Yeah.
One way or another.
It was straight from
the original. But they don't use the mob enough. I feel like they have this mob.
And they just copied and pasted the scene and did it worse. You're right. It was straight from the original, and that's why I didn't like it.
Yeah. It does make you wish that you're watching the original.
Yeah.
And then so I feel like they could have done
I knew it, and I was right. And I told you from the trailer, I watched it, and I said they are going to have the witches have a redemption arc, and they're going to make them sympathetic.
Yes.
The child sacrificing, Satan worshiping witches who do blood sacrifices are sympathetic and have a redemption arc at the end of the movie, and it's horrible. It's abhorrent. It's disgusting, and my kids will never watch it.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with you, and it's not a full redemption arc like we're good.
Oh, shut up! Yes, it is. It shows them turning into light at the end, and they go to heaven.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But what
I don't like that they personified the book because the book is literally evil. Like Zachary Binks.
The book has opinions. The book has opinions, and the book is apparently a good guy this whole time.
Yeah.
He's literally, his cover is made out of human skin.
And Zachary Binks in the original said, this book is evil, no good can come from it. And then they use it in the end to cure the witches or whatever.
And they give it to the little girls are going to become good witches.
I feel like they could have done things. Yeah. I think that they could have made different choices. Like they could have, had the girls try the witchcraft and then like it backfires, like it did in the original.
Or that would have been a good moral thing to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like they could have had,
they could have had them try and solve the problems with witchcraft and realize that they have to do it through friendship or something. I don't know. That would have been better than what they did.
Yeah. And I feel like they could have done. They could have made. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
Oh, I just said, but friendship is magic, Alan.
Oh, did you like the communist message at the end too? Power is meant to be shared. Yeah, go screw yourselves, Disney.
And the thing is like, she kind of made that switch of, I care about my sisters so much. I love them so much.
Yeah,
and she made that switch way too quickly. And I feel like they were trying to do the ending of Stardust.
The villain of the film was Christianity.
I know. And I feel like, why didn't they bring back, here's what I think they should have done. Well, like an idea that would have been better than this horrible movie. But they could have been like, oh, her mortal enemy is that teenager that sent her to hell like 20 years ago. And like he could have come back and been like, they're back. Crap. And then they find out a new way and could have brought the old gang back. If you're gonna give us nostalgia, like just give it to us all.
I think they did actually want to bring, from what I've heard, they did want to bring back the girl from the original. But there was
also a bunch of lesbian coding between the two leads. It was masked pretty well, but they were. The main character wasn't just jealous that the other girl left and had a boyfriend. She was jealous of the relationship, not just the boyfriend. If the opening scene where they first see each other for the first time, it's very obvious.
I don't know. I guess I just don't have very good gator. I don't know, but I yeah, I don't know. But I feel like they could have just made better choices with it. And yeah, how is it like if they're trying to make the witches endearing to us, they show this young girl who is apparently orphaned, living on her own with her sisters, and this town trying to make her marry somebody.
She's so woke.
I know. And they're trying to make her marry somebody, and she says no, and they're like, oh well, then we'll just split you up. And,
no, I don't want to marry boys. I want to marry that other boy.
Yeah, and then she's like, okay, now I can commit arson.
Yeah,
and we're like, yeah, burn it down. And it's like, no, nobody's gonna root for that. Like, that's not a good enough reason to commit arson.
It was so cartoonish. It was so slapstick. It lacked all the nuance of the original film.
And that very woke, horrible line, she's not allowed to speak that way to a man. It's like,
when the Reverend starts screaming like a little girl because there's a spider on his I
think that's
somehow he connects the spider to the girls, and they shout, oh, they tried to assassinate the Reverend with a spider? They're living in the Middle Ages. Have they never seen a spider before?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And I hated the whole backstory thing. The only purpose
I hated every second of the film. I didn't laugh once.
Reverend.
Yeah,
I think you're being a little bit ingenuous, bro. But
I think that Disney is being disingenuous, and I don't want to have to jump through hoops just to like a couple jokes in a movie.
Yeah.
See, and to me, I can even get behind it, because having not finished it, but I can even get behind the new girls wanting to become good witches. And because, we have movies that are glorifying pirates. Like, we can have glorified things that should be bad. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be trying to redeem the Sanderson sisters. That's bad. That's not a good call.
And if they did want to go that route, they could have made an argument saying that, oh, these were just innocent little girls, and the grandmother witch or whether corrupted them with her dark magic with this book.
They were always brats.
That's the same argument that I had for Wanda in
the Darkhold could have corrupted her. Yeah,
that would have made sense. But they literally say, "Oh, like the black guy, whatever his name was, Eric Edward or something like that. What was his name?
Oh, the magic shop owner,
shopkeeper guy.
The shop owner. Because the witches weren't evil; they were just misunderstood."
Oh gosh!
And I quote, "They only murdered children because they had no other choice. They were ahead of their time.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Oh, that's bad.
Mark,
They had no choice.
time.
Just like the rest of us that just mortally die, like that we just die and grow old. They had no choice, no other choice to try to be immortal. Oh gosh, that is bad.
Yeah. But
Mark, I'm really glad that we could make your day. Sorry that you had a bad day, but I enjoy doing this, and I don't know if David's invited back on the show because he made me watch Hocus Pocus too.
I knew it was going to be bad, but I had to watch it.
Yeah.
But
I'm
okay,
really
Go
ahead.
Say something, Martina? Okay, so the worst part for me though was the very end.
Oh my gosh!
When they did the redemption thing, so she does the spell to get ultimate power, and she didn't read the warning that she had to give up what she likes the most. So what?
Well, because she thought it was referring to her boyfriend. That's why, but they didn't explain that in the show. That's what they were trying to go for.
So,
she thought it was
but the thing that she likes the most is her beauty, right?
Yeah,
that's
not her sisters.
That's what they're doing the whole thing.
Not her sisters.
But it can't be her beauty. It can't be her power because she's doing the spell to get power. So she has to give up something to get power. So the thing she's giving up should be her beauty. That's what she values the most.
She just
They're
does
sucking the lives of children to remain youthful and beautiful. Yeah. But they spin this whole thing like, oh, the thing she really valued the most were her sisters, and so her sisters vanished to oblivion, and then she's like, oh, I feel so sorry without my sisters. When she disrespects her sisters the whole entire original movie and throughout this movie too, she
calls them idiots the whole time. Yeah,
stupid. She does not respect them.
Yeah, the swap at the end was so dumb.
It was so out of character. It just ruined the whole thing.
But there wasn't a single time like in the original. They are silly and they do slapstick stuff, but they are also legitimately scary and intimidating when they're around the children. Right? It's usually the silly moments are usually when they're alone, right? And they're it's funny and it works, right? It's quirky. But there wasn't a single moment where during this movie where they were intimidating.
Yeah. And I feel like they if Winifred was truly sad about her losing her sisters, I don't think she would turn to the teenager that just outsmarted her and got rid of her sisters.
Please, you have to help me
with my sisters. It's like, no, she would be angry and like be really scary. I feel like that would have been a redeeming moment in the film where she's like, she becomes like the witch and like is like, and like tries to attack her, tries to suck the life out of her, whatever.
What was the point of the other witch too?
Evil, and the other sisters maybe are just patsies because they kind of are just patsies anyway. If you want to redeem those two, but you can't redeem Winifred.
What was the point of the bird witch? What purpose did she serve the story?
I said, I thought they were going to tie it in to be
who gave them their birth,
one that corrupted them or something, but they didn't tie it in. It was just. It was so frustrating. Like I said, I did not like the movie. I thought it was terrible, but there were scenes in the middle that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it was straight from the original.
The only joke that came close to being clever was the Siri joke.
Oh,
they enter the house and she says like, you can't be serious or something like that includes the word Siri. And then the Siri chimed in and started talking. And she said, oh, this house is haunted, which would have been an interesting thread to follow, but it's completely abandoned.
Yeah.
They should have had her, they keep interacting with this ghost voice and not understanding what was going on.
Yeah. They should have been, ooh, what witchcraft is afoot here or something.
Yeah, which was how they would have done it.
That was the only part that came close to being clever and it was immediately abandoned. I don't know what this comment is trying to ask. Are we enjoying the Rings of Power? No.
If you're just starting,
have you been watching the show?
Watching. If you're just starting the stream,
welcome. You're new.
We talked about it for an hour and a half already.
You're late.
Not to mention the 3 hours each week we've been ragging on
it.
Watch
fun to make fun of. It's the bad kind of bad, so it's hilarious how bad the show is. That's the only thing redeemable.
It's like watching a train wreck,
like watching a bad
Martina, do you want to say what your final thoughts summed up of the original was?
Or the new or the original?
Or the sequel?
Final thoughts. Just watch the original.
You had.
What do you want me to say? Remind me of
the clever line that you came up with as soon as the movie was over. You're like, there were funny parts, but it doesn't.
Okay. Here's.
There you go.
It didn't hold a black flame candle to the original.
I could have come up with that joke. Yeah.
You didn't. I did. I did.
Oh, well, I was going to say it, but you interrupted me.
These stingers.
Don't watch it. It's not worth. It's not worth a.
It doesn't hold. It's
not worth another breath of air, and I'm never going to speak of it again. So She-Hulk pissed me off. Also.
Oh my goodness, we still haven't talked about She-Hulk.
The Marvel is completely dead to me. They spent the entire episode just dragging the greatest character they've ever created in the greatest adaptation through the mud.
I disagree with that part.
Well, I do have to go now because my best friend is here, so I gotta.
The walk of shame, really?
Yeah.
They had him carrying his boots, a joke which does not translate because the reason women do it is because they have heels, and you don't want to walk in your heels. But they have Matt Murdock carrying his boots.
Well, the rest of his costume.
Correction, they didn't have Matt Murdock carrying his boots. They had Daredevil carrying his boots.
Yeah.
It might have made some sort of sense if he was in his Matt Murdock.
Yeah,
and he was just floating his costume.
Freaking Daredevil. You put on those boots and you jump over the rooftops to get away. You don't do the walk of shame silently.
It's my basement. Yes, and I cleaned half of it.
I think they're just trying to make a joke. I didn't mind it.
That looks like a dining room table.
That's funny.
It is a dining room table, but I use it for D&D.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's not really a walk of shame. It's not really a walk of shame if you're blind. Yeah, it's funny though because the only there have been several male suitors in the show, and the show has proven that all of them are either only interested in She-Hulk or are trying to get something out of her and are abusing her. And it's pretty funny and telling to me that the only character that's interested in Jen and wants to sleep with Jen is a blind man.
You know he can see. He can
cute.
see just
Come on.
Or the bad guy, you know.
He is not as ugly as you want to make her out to be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got to go, so I'll have to say goodbye, guys.
All right, Martina. Bye, Martina. Love you.
Yeah.
So,
David.
As a few
and
positives,
the villain of the show is YouTubers.
Yes, it's
Doomcock. They copied his mask.
Yeah. So, as a couple positive notes, though, this is the first episode where we see She-Hulk actually being a Hulk and losing control of her anger. This is what was this the 6th episode or something? And she finally
7.
I think it's the 8th.
Loses control of her anger.
Yeah. Well, she did a little bit in the first episode,
while telling Bruce that she has perfect control of her anger.
It was the other time when she blacks out.
Yeah, right.
And before she's training too, like when she literally first turns. But,
right.
Yeah. And I will say that most of the persona, like the depiction of Matt Murdock, was pretty consistent. He wasn't goofy. I don't think they dragged him through the mud. I think that they showed him being himself and shooting her down and being like, I know what I'm doing better than you do a lot. And then in the very end, they show that he would fall for her, which I knew you would hate. But like, sure, whatever. Okay, I don't care. He's off to do his thing. Like there's some morals that I don't necessarily get behind, that I don't love.
Matt Murdock has better standards.
But saying that he has better standards, I don't think means that they're dragging him through the mud.
Yeah.
Because again, this is supposed to be, at least from their perspective, their star character. So the fact that somebody would like their star character isn't a bad commentary on him in any way, shape, or form. I loved the joke about like we talked about this a little bit earlier, but she makes the joke of ketchup and mustard's a really bold color choice for a superhero, which I thought was kind of funny, making fun of that costume choice, and then him responding with bold choice, making fun of a blind man's wardrobe, because that's exactly what he would do. He's made that kind of joke in the original show.
But it's so transparent that this show is the show that decided to put him in a stupid outfit. That they could go out of their way and make fun of him for wearing a stupid outfit.
But then they're just making fun of themselves.
Screw you, Disney.
They're probably gonna reuse that joke a lot if they make a Daredevil show.
because they don't just make fun of him for it, because he claps back on that. So I don't think that the show was saying, look at how dumb Daredevil is that he would wear this. It's saying, yeah, we made made him wear something funny, and we'll make fun of the fact that we made him wear something funny. So we're the joke. Like they didn't make it about Matt. Matt was not the butt of the joke with that.
Yeah, I agree too. And as much as I hate the yellow costume, it is part of the original. It was stupid in the original. But
and if they have it just for this, as a like, we had it for the one-off to make a joke and homage the original, and then we're going to go to something cooler and different in the new show.
I hope so.
I will be completely happy, and I will have no complaints.
Yeah,
because I do hope that they do that. I don't want them to continue this one, and I won't have complaints about it as long as they do that. You know.
Yeah. They also showed that Daredevil is a much more competent superhero than She-Hulk.
Yeah, but they have her beat the crap out of him and demask him in 2 seconds. She just yanks off his mask.
Because she actually has full-on superpowers.
And she's trying to murder him the entire time. She
Well,
throws
he
a
is
car at his
trying
head.
to murder her client.
No, he doesn't.
It all works. For, like, just because we know that he's right doesn't mean that the people in the show might not see that at first. And then they do learn that, and it's not like the show is saying that he was wrong. The show says that he was right in the end, and our character made a mistake and misinterpreted something.
Yeah, but aside from who was right, and if you exclude all of the knowledge that She-Hulk didn't know, she was still making very horrible decisions in the moment.
Right.
She was trying to murder him.
Well, she does that
And
constantly.
collapsing an entire parking garage.
She picks up like a Maserati and breaks it in half for no reason.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't, and it doesn't make sense because everyone knows she doesn't have a secret identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that they point out that she can do something other than just be a slave to having to do whatever. But I do agree that the way that he presents it and the way he does it doesn't work for her, because she can't do that duality since she appears as the one, since she doesn't have a secret identity. I agree with you there.
And the structural property is not a thing.
Oh yeah, but that's a constant in all Marvel stuff. Like he does a ton of property damage in
But
his
it's a show about lawyers.
Lawyers.
She should know better.
2 lawyers, actually.
But so should he in his show, and he still does lots of property damage.
No, he doesn't. He does people damage.
Well, he breaks down doors and he does do a lot of people damage, but yeah.
Not a Maserati.
It's
Yeah,
just
to the bad guys, not to strangers in a car park.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think it's done a little bit better, but I don't think it's all that far of a stretch to see. I think that they do a lot of this in his show as well.
Do you remember she says, instead of Hulk smash, she says She-Hulk smash. That was
that
was
whatever, because she is the She-Hulk, so sure, She-Hulk, whatever. I don't care. It's dumb, but it's not anything to complain about. I don't think. There's not a lot that I loved about this episode. I liked the last episode way better than this one, but this one was at least a somewhat competent episode. I don't think it trashed on the character on Daredevil too bad. And
the only part that I thought was good
Mm-hmm.
was his very first scene when as Matt Murdock as a lawyer, because it was for the first time the lawyering in the show was competent because it wasn't coming from She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And his reason for being there made sense because he was trying to protect his secret identity.
Oh, yeah.
So that was, dare I say, clever. A smart way to include him in the story is to pull him, for self, to protect himself. And the arguments that he gave were fantastic. But it was also a horrible scene because it just proved how incompetent She-Hulk is, or Jen is, as a lawyer. Because the way that he solves the problem is by smelling the fuel in his suit.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you do when you take on a client is you vet them. You find out, hey, what are the things that you did wrong? If you did anything, you find out if they're in the wrong. You find out what it is they did wrong so that when you go to court, you can veer away from those things and protect your client. She didn't ask her client a single question.
Yeah,
that is not what lawyers do. She's completely incompetent and she should not have a job. But this show thinks that she is so clever, even though they've repeatedly proved her a horrible lawyer.
Yeah,
I
it's
will not
consistent,
argue
at
with you
least
on
part,
that.
you know.
Absolutely, that's 100%. They
Yeah.
don't do a good job of making.
But they are
it-
consistent with that, at least, you know. She's
She is
still,
consistently a horrible
yeah,
lawyer. Yeah,
she's
I'll give him
consistently
that.
bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Although
again,
for some reason
more-
she gets the female lawyer of the year award.
It's-
They made
it's
it
hard-
really clear that she was the female lawyer of the year.
Female
It's because she's
lawyer
high
award.
profile, and I think that could be another commentary on just the fact that a lot of those awards don't care anything about.
Well, I think that's what they tried to do because they gave it to all of the
And they
female
give it to all of them,
lawyers.
yeah, it's true.
Oh,
It was just so stupid. It was so dumb.
I-
And the big
I
villain's
would- I-
plan was to reveal
That she
a
has sex
sex
with
tape,
somebody.
which
Yeah.
that's not good. That's
It's-
revenge porn, and that is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they weren't wrong. She is a massive slut.
So from
The way to go about
our-
it is bad. Don't do that, guys.
Mhm.
But they're not wrong about her.
What I'm going to say though too is that is from our own perspective, from our own morality perspective, and I think that it's right. But also at the same time, the rest of society is definitely not on that page, and so
She's
fine,
no
whatever. They're
she
gonna
is
show
no
it.
shapoopy. She does not wait for the third date. Okay.
Well, she did wait for the third date. It was the third date. She said it
When?
in the last episode.
Oh,
when
for
they
the
asked, like, how
last
many days
guy,
did you
you're
go on?
right.
And which day
For
was-
one
it was the third
guy.
date.
I
Yeah.
mean, they did it on the third date.
I guess with the other one.
For Matt Murdock, though, they don't even go on a date.
Yeah, and the previous guy that she fought
That
demons
offered to
for.
buy her chips.
Yeah.
That was really weird. The whole when she says you're feeling this, like when she breaks the fourth wall, and she's like, "You're feeling this, right? You're also feeling this, right, guys?"
Oh, when
And
she-
he's
when
like,
she did
"No,
that,
we are not
no,
feeling it.
No,
we are not
please,
feeling
no,
it."
I'm not feeling it at all.
That
And
makes
that-
more
that to
sense
me comes more
probably
down to the
later.
writing. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Probably
it
later
wasn't
made more sense,
beautiful
but in
then.
that
Yeah.
in that point, they just met, so it made no sense.
No. Yeah, that didn't necessarily work for me, but I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. Haha, whatever. But again, there were a lot of other parts that I did enjoy. So,
yeah,
The Walk of Shame was. ugh.
the Walk of Shame was cringy. Yeah,
and I do think that half of the criticisms that you guys have about her and like her morality and this, that, and the other is more of the fact that I agree that this is a problem with society, and the show is just showing society. So, like, I'm going to criticize society, but not the show, because the show is just the way any show is nowadays. So, like, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't care much about her sex tape, and because it made sense, made sense that a group of guys see a famous female or whatever, and they would look to harm her in that way, probably.
Yeah.
But
That is
it
garbage
was
behavior.
just the whole thing about making them like look like a YouTuber or something. That was cringy as well. That was really weird.
But
I didn't
also,
think
like,
it was YouTubers, they were just online trolls. They were the
it's-
actual garbage people that
They literally copied Doomcock's mask.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
And
Yeah.
his voice, the thing
did his
was
voice
his
too.
voice,
Like Doom
because his mask was okay. The mask was like a combination between the mask on Squid Game, the mask
Yeah.
of the main host,
Yeah.
and the mask from Doom guy. But yeah, his voice was really similar. They used almost the same effect,
Yeah.
and it was really weird.
that
They-
and
don't know
also
what to do, so.
all the comments, in the feeds and stuff, they're trying to play off as us
It's
haters
us.
of the show
We're the
in
bad
real
guys.
life are the real villains. Yeah,
Yeah.
They've been
just-
done it. The
yeah,
whole,
it was
Just like
it was
Rings of
100%
Power. You're the bad
intentional.
guy.
literally the whole villain of the entire show is redditors and people that comment in YouTube videos. Like,
Yep.
Yeah. I do. But I personally can get behind the fact that there are people that are being idiots and stupid about it. Whereas I think sometimes we dabble, we toe the line there, but there's still legitimate things to criticize. And
good night, lady.
Night. Thanks for joining us.
I would argue that the people that defend this show have been way worse. That account that has been calling insults everyone. And
Oh my goodness. It's been
the
horrible.
showrunners by themselves, the actress. No one was saying anything. People, were making jokes about the body of She-Hulk. She's
The
not
CGI,
being that
'cause it was
buff.
bad.
well, the CGI was more important actually. That was the legit criticism, and the CGI on this episode was when she smashes through the ceiling. My God, the smoke particles and no, everything was a mess. Like
Yeah.
she's so like her animation is so inconsistent, and her face. I don't know if you guys noticed, but her face in the gala looks so bad. Look like and I think they probably did it. It looked like the showrunner, like Jessica Gao, but in like the form version, like She-Hulk version of her.
Yeah.
But it looked really different from the episodes.
The character is a self-insert for Jessica Gao.
Probably yes, yeah.
But I hate it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I hope the finale
it does not make me excited for the Daredevil show. It makes me unexcited.
Yeah, if it has any of the same people involved in it, I'm worried.
Yeah, the thing
they even ruined his fight scene.
Yeah, they tried to.
They played it up. Hey, we're gonna do a hallway fight scene, and then She-Hulk smashes through the floor and murders people. Even though she couldn't see through the floor. How did she know?
Yeah.
She just smashes through the floor. But also
But
before it starts, it shows him hitting, like, one of the goons gets taken out by one of his batons, and he's not even in the same room, because then it shows him enter the room from a side room, and you're like, look, I get that his thing is that he moves in the shadows, and this is like broad daylight, and he was in a different room. Like, where did it come from? It doesn't make it's so
no. He would do that. He because that's the thing is his ability.
Taken out the lights.
Yes,
he should have taken out the lights. Yeah.
What they probably showed us is that even if they do the Daredevil stuff good, his powers or whatever, because that's kind of the thing they showed us, that they understand the powers behind of Daredevil, his smell of whatever, the basis. But they show us that the mistakes they do, they are greater than the good things that they can bring to the character. And the whole thing about the walk of shame, I don't know why they did it. That was legit disrespect. That was legit trying to disrespect the fandom, at least, the character. Well, it made no sense. The whole thing about the walk of shame is because wearing heels is painful and uncomfortable. So when you walk back home, you are not going to wear the heels. So that's why you bring it in your hand. But this guy has some boots that would make more comfortable his walk home, and probably more useful, because he's supposed to, like you said, move in the shadows. He has a secret identity he wants to protect. But her friend was like, oh, you see the Daredevil guy walking outside, doing the walk of shame, and that was like, dude,
he's in his costume that he needs to keep secret, like
if he was on his regular clothes, maybe you would understand.
It would have made sense. I would have been okay with it if he was just dressed as Matt Murdock and he had like his suit maybe like in a bag over his shoulder. Right? And then it would have made sense why he wasn't wearing his shoes, because he can't, because then people would know he's Daredevil.
You couldn't even make it funnier. I don't know, make it he has trouble putting his pants on or something.
They left him in the suit on purpose so they could embarrass him.
Yeah. I don't necessarily take it that way, but I completely agree that the walk of shame was completely unnecessary. It makes no sense. Completely. You're absolutely right. It was
I hope the next episode is not as disrespectful with.
Well, he's gone. He's one and done. He's one.
He's gone. No, the Titania said that in the last episode there was Daredevil Titania action. Titania or something. Yeah. She was bragging about it on Twitter, and I was like, dude, that's not good news.
I wouldn't put it past them though, because the way that they've been doing with Jamila Jamil is they've been having her lean into as if she's the real character in real life. Like she went out and was tagging She-Hulk advertisements.
That wasn't her though. That was just an act. That was
it wasn't her, but still, it was someone was dressed up as Titania doing that. But they
she legit had a meltdown on Twitter.
I wouldn't put it past them to be like, she's saying, "Oh yeah, totally, I'm going to get down with Daredevil next time," and yeah. So, and it's not going to be true. I would.
No, I mean not get down, but fighting or something.
Either way.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Either kind of get down. So
I am not enjoying it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not even good, bad. No, it's so bad that's good. It's not even that, It's not funny.
It's not even fun to watch to make fun of. It's just a chore for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I enjoy lots of pieces of it. There are other pieces that are pretty bad.
Yeah,
but these episodes well enough. That's what.
Yeah, to briefly talk about because I don't know. It's hard to meme too. She-Hulk is like the memes that I've been making for Rings of Power stem from just the lack of consistency. The internal logic just doesn't make sense, and I'm able to call it out with memes. And She-Hulk, there's a lot of that too, but it's mostly just antagonistic towards the fans, which is harder to make memes out of.
Yeah.
And this, I was thinking the same thing because they just dropped a trailer for the Wheel of Time season 2, which season 1 I personally hate it more than Rings of Power because I'm more invested in the Wheel of Time. It's my little baby, right? And I hate Rings of Power because of what it's doing to Tolkien. But I was thinking about it. I was like, am I going to be able to make devoid of logic meme edits for the Wheel of Time season 2? And thinking back on season 1, like the answer is no. Like it's a worse show to me for what it does to the source material, but the internal logic is consistent. The story makes sense. You don't have characters just flip-flopping randomly and doing things that don't make sense. I don't like the story, but at least it's consistent in and of itself. But I am not excited for season 2.
It's not consistent with the books, but it's at least consistent with itself, is what you're saying.
It is.
But the Rings of Power isn't consistent with Tolkien, and it's not
and
consistent
itself.
So, yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with season 2. I would like to make memes, but it's going to be hard.
Yep. Andor's good though.
Andor's good. Oh yeah, Andor's great. I'm excited for it. The tension is building very slowly, but very, very well. And the next episode, you just know is going to be fun because it's all going to come crashing down a little bit, and then they're going to set up like the aftermath, trying to get away. Probably, maybe someone gets captured and some secrets get revealed, and Stellan Skarsgård is so good.
So good. Yeah, that scene was oof.
That's my prediction is something that they're going to pull off the heist, but some intel or some person is going to be left behind. And then they're going to send Andor in to be the hitman to hush things up. Because that's kind of his character in Rogue One. He's the guy that gets his hands dirty.
Yeah. Probably someone's going to die, They had to build the tension.
Someone's dying.
And I don't want to say the guy because it's pretty obvious. So it's probably going to be like a spoiler. So I don't want to say who's going to die. But you guys probably already know who's going to go.
Yeah.
But the kid, right? It's the kid's going to die. The tinker.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, it's good stuff.
The thing I like about Andor mostly is the scenes with Andor and his team. They have a purpose, and every episode dialogue serves to move the story forward and give us pieces of information that maybe we didn't know, and it doesn't feel like show don't tell, but it's a little bit of show don't tell. But it's greatly done, and they don't do it straightforward like, oh, this is that and this is that. They are like making it mysterious, and the whole spy vibe, really works for the show.
And the internal drama is there for a reason, and to contrast it directly with Rings of Power, the plots with the elves and the dwarves is so artificially constructed. Will they, won't they? I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And it's just dragging out the show because it's filler.
Mm-hmm.
And in Andor, the infighting and disagreements make sense. You understand Andor's point of view, Cassian's point of view, and you understand the other guy who distrusts, like you're on both of their sides, and you get it. You get why they're fighting.
Right. This is the beginnings of the rebellion. This has to stay hushed. You can't let any word of this getting out. You have to know who you can trust, and it's really great how they
it led to a great dramatic scene where Andor's like, yeah, they're paying me because you guys would have died without me, so it's a good thing that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel really happy that Andor made me change my mind because
I like his character now.
For the first
two
episodes was really, they were really a little bit off for me. The first 2 episodes were kind of boring. The third episode was good, but it really shows that, like I was saying in the beginning, they changed directors and they changed writers. The first writer was the brother from the other writer. I don't remember, Tony Rayner or something was the first guy, and then the other guy was Dan Rayner, his older brother, and who has way more experience with a lot of sci-fi, and he's a good writer, good script writer, good movies. Nightcrawler, he did Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was a good movie. So it really feels.
I love Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is a great movie.
I've seen that movie so many times, and it's a weird. It's like my comfort pick when I'm like, I don't know what to watch, and I end up just watching Nightcrawler again, which is a really weird movie. But I love it so much.
Gets you going. Yeah,
it is so good.
It's a really good movie. And that's why you feel like the change. I don't know if you guys noticed the change in quality because the 4th episode is like they finally meet the crew and it starts feeling like what the show is going to be. That's the reason why they did 12 episodes, because they felt maybe the first 3 episodes are like the origin story, not like a mini series by itself, and then we start with the real thing, the actual spy stuff, the actual action.
They are, and I like that they're not just throwing out the first 3 episodes. Like, there are ripples from those episodes that they're following up with.
Yeah. Oh, and the director was a woman, which was a nice surprise. Actually, it's not one of those times where you say, "Oh, that's why." No, you probably say, "Oh, that's why it's good." Why it feels a little bit better than the other one. Is like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see more of her. It feels like the thing about the communist guy, like the guy was so overtly communist. It felt a little bit weird, like the writer was making a social commentary for himself, the oppressors, But it felt at least it felt like old school Marxist, It felt like a little bit.
Yeah. And it was consistent with the idea that there would be somebody in the world that would have that, and that they would probably be involved in this. But not everybody is in for the same reasons, and it's not saying this is the one thing. It's about how there are people doing it like this, there are people doing it for this.
Nuanced.
But yeah,
that's why it felt good.
They're showing different viewpoints. What?
Yeah,
and Andor is the most compelling, character of the show. His acting also is, I think, it's on point. Yeah, I think it's on point. I mean,
I didn't like him at first. He's won me over.
Yeah, I like the quote that they took the title of the episode from. The axe forgets, but the tree.
That was a good saying. Yeah.
That again fits the theme of saying, like, these imperial people are they're an axe and they're chopping us down, and we will remember it. We're going to bring it back to them, and they're just going to forget. And they're not.
Didn't feel like those lackluster phrases from The Rings of Power, the cheap sings when they, and the phrase actually makes sense because it's something that happens in real war, and that describes perfectly the actions of the Empire.
They got me feeling a little bit more bad for the one security dude that got fired with him and his mom. Oh gosh. His mom is just a piece.
They're selling that cereal though, right? Like that's
why
that's why they have to start. Like, I'll buy it. It looks good.
Dude, don't do it. I saw the commercial for that. The cereal is just sugar and more. It's like, dude, like, you're gonna make people sick. Like, it looks good, but made.
Come on, but
that's the reason.
The actual cereals that are up here in America, like, come on.
I mean,
they're all
I
like
know.
that. That's absolutely all of them.
No, here in Mexico too, but come on, that was a little bit too much. I was like, come on, Disney. I know you want.
They don't just have blue milk, and they don't just have blue milk and now green milk from the sequel trilogy. They now have the pink milk or whatever it is that's disgusting. They'll start selling that at Galaxy's Edge.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, I like his character. It's good.
Yeah, I felt like
I'm excited
believable.
to see how this heist goes off next episode.
And the Karen was toned down to a minimum, you know.
Oh yeah,
like her scene.
Her character was better too.
Yeah, her scene felt believable. You know, felt like a real something that will happen at job. You know.
I completely didn't mind her in the previous one, and I agree that she was really like it added depth in a way that I felt was consistent with what I liked from the previous one, where it was real to me. It wasn't too much of a like.
If you want to make if you want to make your villains sympathetic, this is how you do it. Because like they all have different points of view, and from their point of view, they are trying to do what is right.
Exactly.
The rebels are a terrorist group that is trying to
intriguing.
Take down
Yeah. Although I still feel like the only bad guy is the Empire. You know, it still doesn't feel like this. I don't know her name, but I'm gonna call her Karen. This Karen or the male Karen or the other guy. I don't remember his name either. But yeah,
her boss is the villain guy.
And the senator. What do you guys
the
think
Empire,
about
the Emperor himself can be the villain. Like
he's the Empire. Well, and the senator, her scenes were good as well. You know, they were subtle.
Oh, I really liked. So not to skip over her, but to go back to the Karen, one of her lines was fantastic when she was like, "This is how I would do it. If I were trying to start something, this is the way." That's the reason why I've been able to see through the cracks is because if I was going to do it, this is how I do it. And I was like, "That's good. That's good writing."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
It's too random. It's too random to be random. Like that's a real thing in statistics. Like it's good.
Andor was a surprise for the week.
I will actually say though, the Mon Mothma stuff has not been my favorite. She does a good job, and I think that there is an interesting story to tell about like the strain that's on her family life because of what she's doing with this. It has been a little bit weird the way they've been telling. I haven't loved it.
It's been better than any Star Wars cameo they've ever done, which I thought I wasn't going to like her at all, and I'm really liking her character because it's affecting the plot. There's a reason for her to be in the show.
It's also doing a lot better job of showing a strong woman and a husband that's not working right with that's having problems, that they're having problems with that, and it actually makes sense. It does fit.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily tearing him down and making him look like an idiot.
Exactly. It was not automatically because he's a man, he's a bad guy. You know, they didn't make him like they gave him a little bit of they made him a little deeper than just surface evil like they show in every other show.
Yeah.
Andor is I'm telling you, Andor is great and is getting better.
I'm shocked that I'm enjoying it because I was completely done with Star Wars. I still am. I don't have any faith in the Star Wars universe. But Andor is good.
Yeah, Andor is enjoyable and it's a nice surprise. Nice surprise.
And this is the one that they've said that they're doubling down on because they're already working on season 2.
Which is so weird. You were making an Obi-Wan Kenobi show and you didn't care about making that one good.
Yeah.
No.
But you're doing a show about a guy that already died, so
I legitimately
that no one is invested in at all, and that's the one you put your care in.
No one really liked he wasn't even the best character in Rogue One. I think Felicity Jones and
he was
Sam,
so bland in Rogue One.
The other guy,
it legitimately I think comes down to the fact that Lucasfilm has felt like, oh, these big name characters we have to be careful with, and everybody gets their fingers in and causes problems. Obi-Wan started out as a movie, and then it went to a TV show, and then they changed it all up. And it really should have just been a movie because when
their movies sucked. Their movies sucked too, though, and those were original characters.
Yeah, that's why probably they were saying, okay, we're done with movies for a while until we get it right.
Sequel trilogy. I liked the first one, and the third one felt better, but
the first one was just
Well,
like
I didn't love
premonition of what was coming for me.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can rehash all this stuff as many times as we want with all of that's going on with Star Wars, but
Rings of Power is almost over. Come Thursday night. Well, I won't be done with it. I'll be done with it in 2 weeks when I'm done memeing it. But it feels like we're almost over that hump. It feels good.
Another good surprise though is Werewolf by Night dropped. I just heard that they were making it, and then it dropped like a couple.
Was it a full length movie? You said it was a short.
It's kind of like
minutes,
it's like 55 minutes. It's just a one-off thing, and it was all right. It was pretty good.
I'll watch it eventually, not anytime soon.
It was filmed kind of like an old school black and white horror film, not super scary, not quite campy, but a little bit of humor in there.
Yeah,
but it was good. It was fun.
It was relatively gory for what you'll see in most of the MCU things, but not particularly scary. For me, I didn't love it. I don't have a problem with it. There was nothing bad. There was nothing to complain about, but it didn't stand out to me as anything to write home about. So.
Yeah, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see it sometime. But I what I want to be doing right now is when we're done with this, I want to watch House of the Dragon. But I can't do that tonight because I have to finish my friggin' Rings of Power video for tomorrow. So
God help you, bro.
So we need to wrap this up so I can finish. I've got 3 minutes so far, and I'll stop at 5. Oh gosh, it's a pain. It's a pain in the batoot. But House of the Dragon was also good. I don't have any other complaints except that this is the episode where it really illustrated the problem with doing the race swap for the black character and the black kids, and everyone's just pretending that they don't notice that her kids aren't black. I don't know why, and you're like,
well, at least a little bit
supposed to be vague in the books, and it was supposed to be more believable in the books, and now it's just kind of like, really, no one has brought it up before this episode that our kids aren't black. It's a little silly, but
I wonder about that because first of all, from what they're focusing on is the fact that they're not with the Targaryen white hair, which possible, but also like, hey, usually you get the Targaryen white hair going on, so that's the dead giveaway. And
they have handled it. They have handled it well. They're trying to play it off as, well, the king has so much authority, and he said if anyone mentions it, that they're going to die. But you can see that they created a problem for themselves that they didn't have to do. They could have taken any other house in the show and made them black, but they had to choose. They had to choose the one that would affect the plot like this. It's a little silly, but they've handled it well, and it doesn't bother me. Except for their wigs. Their wigs look so stupid.
Oh, so bad.
I haven't mind. Well,
they don't get it right.
Yeah,
I hope they
kids with the long hair wasn't.
But man, the fight between those kids that lasted like 3 minutes was better than anything that has happened in the Rings of Power. It was scripted so well. It was choreographed so well, and you knew why they were fighting each other. It made sense, and it was so good.
They better the characters too, because they show team play with the Strong brothers.
Yeah,
and they probably in the next episode they're gonna be team players. And Aemon, he's like a solo character, he's in the next episode he's going to show up like a solo character, I mean,
what team are you on? Team black or team green?
Oof,
it's tough.
I'm always team black because I don't know, the problem with Alicent for me is just the actress. That the new actress is not that good.
Yeah.
The old actress was great, awesome.
Yeah.
She's so good, and the little nuances she puts on the character.
Yeah,
the new one is just like
she's not as good.
Like you said, she's probably a stage actor. Yeah, a stage actor, and she overdoes everything. She overdoes her emotions, but it doesn't feel like they go with the character of Alicent that they have showed us before.
And I just realized I'm actually an episode behind on House of the Dragon.
So
I haven't seen last week's episode.
You gotta check that 7 episode is one of my favorite.
It's the best one by far. It's the best one.
Yeah, the third one was really the one of the the stone.
Yeah, they were.
The stone steps.
The stepstones. Yeah, the war of the stepstones was really good.
It was really good.
Yeah, but this episode was like they are coming from everywhere with information, with
Team Green.
Team Green is Alicent.
Hightower.
The Hightower, and Team Black is the
Rhaenyra.
Team Green, Alicent,
Rhaenyra, and that's the problem. I think morally, I'm Team Green all the way. Like they're both doing bad stuff, but like for the good of the realm, like Team Green is the obvious choice. But Team Black has Daemon.
Yeah, that's true.
And I love him so much, but they also have Rhaenyra, and she's the worst. So
and when she was the episodes that they had with her as a kid, when she was younger, like I was willing to side with her and say like, yeah, sure, you should become the queen. Maybe that might not be the best.
Even then, though, she was a better actor when she was younger. But even then, you could see she was making bad choices.
She was making some bad choices, but it was like how her father's making bad choices. I mean, it's not the same bad choices. Her father is a good person that just keeps on running into things that are terrible, and he can't make the right choice, or else it's going to go bad. She was making some bad decisions, but it's because she was young and naive and doing some dumb
If you
things.
haven't seen the newest episode, it's really cemented there, though.
Yeah,
when she tries to make excuses, she tries to make excuses as to why she didn't have kids with her real husband. She's like, "We tried so hard," and I'm like, "Really? You? There's no reason why you couldn't have had kids with him and still had a relationship with someone else."
Yeah.
Like it's like it was like she was just making excuses. Like, oh come on, really?
Point, up until their wedding, I could have been behind Rhaenyra if not agreeing with her morality in any way, shape, or form. And I can get behind the fact that I agree with Alicent's distaste of her morality and want to side with her and recognize that it probably might end up being more peaceful for the realm if she wins. But then now, at least with the previous episode that I saw, the first one with the older actresses, I'm like, yeah, Rhaenyra's gotten to just be bad. Nope, she's not only is her morality wrong, she's also just doing the wrong. Like,
she's making politically bad choices. They're not smart choices. And they're not good for the realm either.
They make it harder for
But like worst case scenario,
conflict goes nuts.
Worst case scenario, they're both in on the deal, right? She could have brought someone else in the room to help her husband and then sealed the deal with him, Like there's no reason why they could not have had kids together.
The scene in Game of Thrones when the Tyrell girl.
She
says,
they bring up the solution in Game of Thrones. Like, I can bring in someone for you
to help. And that was really weird, but that was a good solution.
If you're gonna go for it, that's what you can do.
But you have to think that that's hundreds of years before, so maybe they were not that advanced.
They weren't that progressive.
Yeah,
but they were also very progressive at the same time.
The whole feminist theme is a little bit cringy at times.
A lot of reality to the fact that a lot of that stuff, all of the above, was going on all over the place, even in real history, quite a bit.
Yeah. But this is the best thing that we have gotten out of TV for the past 4, 5, 6 years, something like that.
I'm kind of enjoying House of the and it could still totally tank. It could still go poorly, right? But I'm kind of enjoying it more than Game of Thrones.
Yeah, some way. I mean, the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are, for the history books, probably. But this show is also in my opinion,
tighter though. Like the first 4 seasons are fantastic, but they're also really slow, and it's impressive how much ground they've covered in House of the Dragon and how tight it all is. It's just concise.
Yeah, for me, it's in some way it's better because they learn the bad things of Game of Thrones and they try to correct some mistakes. Like J.R.R. Martin,
did they learn from their mistakes? That's unheard of in Hollywood.
That's
I also like it because there's less sex in it. I'm a Christian.
I mean, I'm not even a Christian, and I don't really like gratuitous nudity. I mean, it was fun in the 80s, but that was that was because we were kids, and that was the only thing we would have gotten because there was no internet. So that was the fun part of the 80s, you know. It was fun in the 80s, in the early 90s too, but it burned out and it lost all its sense. So I believe that's why this show is even better than Game of Thrones. The nudity in Game of Thrones felt sometimes a little bit over the top. So it was, just to create, to be impactful, just create controversy or something.
Yeah, for shock value and
shock value. Exactly, that's the word I was looking for.
And this one, it still has a certain amount of shock value to it, but it so far has really generally had important aspects to the story that's interesting. I was saying,
yeah, and the few scenes that were maybe gory or gratuitously nudity, gratuitous nudity, well, the shock value was really, really heavy. Like they were really impactful. The whole scene with Rhaenyra and Daemon was like, what the hell is going on? And the scene with Kristen Cole, the scene with Kristen Cole and the kisses the night of the kisses, and that was worth too, because you saw that he was gonna become a villain after all.
I like Cole's character. He's my favorite character in the show, and I know he does bad stuff in the future, but he's the most interesting character.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He called Rhaenyra
driven to villainy.
He called Rhaenyra C-word. That was the best part of the show. Oh, she said spoil C-word, and I was, oh my god.
It's so funny. Like, but his motivation though is it's a spurned lover, right? It's not even his motivation isn't even like a good one for hating her so much. Like, there are other really good reasons to not like her character, but his reason is totally different.
She didn't want to run out with run away with me.
She turned me down.
I'm gonna do a lot of bad stuff.
Well,
but I'm glad there's a lot of things behind every character. There's a lot of character development behind them.
It's well made.
Yeah, well made.
Well,
it's done. I mean, it's done, right? This was the last episode.
No, there's like
tonight.
3 more, I think.
Tonight.
Oh,
tonight is the last
finale.
Episode. Yeah, tonight is the finale. Tonight was the finale. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about it. Because tonight is the finale, and
it's gonna end on a cliffhanger for sure.
They gotta, but probably gonna end with. I'm not gonna.
There'll be some resolution.
I'm seeing that there's 10 episodes, and
10
was 7.
Oh,
tonight was 8, and then there's 2 more.
For real?
That's what I'm seeing on Wikipedia right now.
Episode tonight's 8. That's why I thought that was the finale.
Well, the other thing with Game of Thrones is they always had the finale 1 episode early. So they always did the fun stuff in like episode 9, and then episode 10 was wrapping up threads and then setting up the next season.
Probably setting up the next season.
So this episode is probably the fun one.
Is it probably 8 or where 9? They develop the conflict? Probably.
Yeah, because this is 8. 9 is next week, and then 10 will be following.
Oh, that's interesting. That's great news.
There's more.
That's great news.
Yeah, I'm looking too at the name of this next episode, which is going to be the week that the Lord of the Rings of Power ends. I'm just noticing that the title of this next episode of tonight is Lord of the Tides. I wonder if that's another subtle troll at Lord of the Rings of Power, having
thank God.
The show at the same time.
But it makes sense. It makes sense because they have to choose who's going to inherit the kingdom of the tides because they're all dead. So.
Thank God for the
That is called the Green Council, and then the Black Queen.
Thank God for Game of Thrones. I mean, for Hot D. Thank God for that.
I love calling it Hot D. That's so good.
And the thing that's even funnier about
I love me some Hot D, baby.
It's not just that the name of the show is House of the Dragon. It's Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. So it's not just hot D, it's got hot D.
You got hot D. It's all about that hot D action too. The action's so good. It's so raw and
even if there was not just a small percentage amount of action, we still got the hot D.
I know it only lasts for a little bit, but man, it's satisfying. Yeah.
Hot indeed.
I feel like this is part of that scene in The Office where Michael just decided he's not going to say any more "that's what she said" jokes. Totally done, and Jim is just sitting there tossing them at him. Just you always left me satisfied and smiling.
Well,
that's what she said.
Next week is the finale. We'll probably be talking about that for a long time.
Holy damn, yeah.
So, thank you so much.
These just keep getting longer and longer.
We're 3 hours and 40 minutes now.
Thanks so much, Angry Mexa, for joining us.
It's always a pleasure.
Me. I love having you on the show. It's a blast talking to you.
Thank you. I hope I can make it next week too.
Yeah, you're
gonna
invited.
Be a juicy one. Nice.
Yeah,
looking not forward to it.
Well, I got to get some editing done for tomorrow morning. So we'll leave you guys with that. Thanks for joining in. It's been a blast. I love doing this. And we'll see you guys next week. And we got merch. Go buy. Yep. You don't have to buy it. I don't know. I think it's
stuff.
And if you like it, buy it.
That's my logo in the middle. There.
I was expecting some cheap iron-on stuff.
Oh, it's good.
This is good quality. It's solid.
It looks really good.
Yeah,
it's solid job. You can ask me how I'm Mexican, and on the back it says technically.
Nice.
Very nice.
Because I'm a fraud. But it's okay. We got real diversity here to compensate.
Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you back.
Yeah, I got my Mexican card, right?
Yeah, bro.
I got my green card.
I got a Mexican friend. No pasa
you can't.
nada.
It's not racist. I have Mexican friends.
Exactly.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.